All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Baseball After Dark, 9 o'clock, February 27th, 2026. This will be my last show from home for a little bit. Then I'll be on the road for a little while. I go to Arizona on Sunday morning to get ready for the Team Italy little mini training camp, WBC thing. So thanks for everybody hanging with me tonight. This should be a good one. Got a lot of baseball to watch from spring today. There was some good stuff. But also we're going to go over the AL East, which in my humble opinion is the hardest division in baseball, should be the most competitive with the most really good teams in it, at least four, and you never know about the Rays. So let's get it popping. Also, in a matter of moments, if I have a chance, I'm going to try to put, maybe right after the show's over, I'm going to try to put these crew necks and the hoodies up onto the store. If you're interested, head over to baseballandcoffee.com or the YouTube shop. And you know what to do from there. I'll get those orders sent out when I get back home. Anyway, lots of people saying hi today. We got my guy Billy. We got, man, a lot of people in here. So excited to see everybody. And let's get it started. I think we'll just go right into the AL East first, and then we'll watch the baseball second, if that makes sense. Because we got to knock out this AL East, and it's probably going to be a lot to talk about. So this was me scouting Jonah Tong the other day prior to coming out to the show. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at our depth charts, and we'll see who we're starting. Who does Fangraphs have as projected to win the AL East? And in a very tight projected race, they have the Yankees eking out the Blue Jays and the Red Sox at 87 and 75. Blue Jays and Red Sox 1 games back, and then the Orioles, they're projecting them at 84 and 78, and last place Rays projected at 500. So this is what I mean. The worst team in the league is at least projected at 500, which is pretty crazy. So we'll start with the Yanks, the Pinstripes. Obviously, this is a team I know pretty damn well. There's been this narrative that they're running it back. I think that that's perfectly fine. Let's be honest, they lost in a tiebreaker last year because the Blue Jays kind of beat them up behind school with regularity head to head, but they had the same record overall. So I don't think they did anything wrong. They scored the most runs in baseball last year, and this year they do have some more pitching depth coming. So that's the exciting part, I think, if you're a Yankee fan or a Yankee watcher. Here's the lineup. Trent Grisham, who took the qualifying offer. A lot of people were upset about that because, like myself, they're not really buying into the fact that he can necessarily repeat. Obviously, he doesn't have to repeat. What he did last year was worth more than $22 million. But they are looking for him to be really, really good. His carrying skill is he doesn't chase. That's what you want in an on-base percentage guy at the top of the order. Judge, best hitter in baseball, in the 2-hole, and we all know what he's all about. And really, he's the key to everything, but also the key is how they kind of let the rest of this lineup work around him. They re-signed Bellinger after a long negotiation. He's currently the threat to hit behind Judge. Ben Rice, who was outstanding last year, even though he didn't get all of the numbers that he deserved. Stanton, who's in an interesting spot where he can't open a bag of chips or a bottle, but yet he wants to play the whole season. Obviously, I love Big G. I've been seeing him from a very, very long time. And we'll see what they get out of him physically. But, of course, you like him in the lineup. Jazz, 30-30. Claiming 50-50, obviously a great player in a big year. So we'll see what happens. McMahon didn't really show what he could do offensively last year, but tremendous defensive upgrade for the Yankees. Excited to watch him in a first full season. Caballero, him and Volpe, obviously, at shortstop. We'll see how that all shakes out. Volpe coming back off of injury. Fan base sort of throwing dirt on him a little bit. Caballero is an interesting player, a dangerous player, a big threat of a player. And gives them a different dynamic, so I love his presence on this team. And then the Dominican, Austin Wells, which I love. It's so cool. You know, really good at framing, shows some promise at the plate, but was definitely underwhelming overall at the plate. On the bench, this is where the righties are. They needed some righties. If there's one thing about this lineup you look at right off the rip, there's too many lefties. Grisham, Belly, Jazz, McMahon, and Wells, and Rice. I didn't even mention Rice, so with only 3 righties in the normal lineup, they need to have some guys to supplement. They bring back Goldie, who was quietly dominant versus lefties last year. I know he's no spring chicken, but he's been looking good so far in spring training. Ahmed Rosario is kind of like, you know, team mascot, but also like a versatile guy with some speed. Escara right now at catcher. We'll see if he can hang on to that if Rice doesn't take some of those jobs behind the plate if they don't move things around. And then right now they have Grichuk making the squad as an NRI. He had a pretty miserable year last year, but he's a veteran right-handed hitter. This is where I get excited about the Yankees this year. Obviously, we think the lineup's good, but I think in the rotation, this is where they have a chance to be special this year. We all know that Cole and Rodon and Schmidt are not ready right now. They will be ready soon. Garrett's looking outstanding in spring. But even out the gate, Max Fried, who was tremendous in his first year in the Bronx, Schlittler, who had probably the best outing of any pitcher in the game versus the Red Sox, Will Warren, who I thought had a great learning year. We'll see how long he can hang on to his spot. Weathers was the best move I think they made all offseason. If he can stay healthy, he's going to take them to another level. He's looked incredible. His first start was really, really impressive down in spring. And Heel, I'm talking to Boone a little bit. They felt like he wasn't really ready last year when he came into camp in tip-top shape. This year, he is. So maybe he can bounce back to form. And then I mentioned all the depth they have behind that. And that's to say nothing of two prospects that I'm incredibly high on. Elmer Rodriguez, the 22-year-old Puerto Rican who we'll get to see in the WBC, who is a very big pitchability guy. I do think he might struggle versus all lefties. If they stack lefties against him, that could be an issue. But I'm also a big fan of this guy, Carlos Lagrange, who also pitched today. We're going to watch him probably after we go through the teams. Very impressive stuff. He can throw the ball to the plate. He's going to be a guy who strikes everybody out. So they have some interesting guys. Ben Hess is another. Chase Hampton coming back off injury. They have too much pitching. I guess there's no such thing, but it's shaping up to be pretty good. Obviously, not everybody will be great, but that's a lot of rotation options. In the bullpen, I think it's fair to question this group a little bit. They lose Devin. They lose Luke. They have Bednar, who's rock solid. Doval's been an interesting player. Hard to know what to expect from him. Cruz, another guy who punches out the world, but the results haven't necessarily been there. Tim Hill, we love him. Contact pitcher, weird matchup guy. Seems to fit well with the Yankees. Jake Bird's a guy I was confident in coming out of Colorado. He only got a couple of games before he got banished and never came back, but I think there's upside there. Then there's two guys here in Blackburn and Yarborough who this is a very Yankee-ish thing to do. Have two veterans that can kind of play the swing role. They can do spot starts. They're going to cover some innings. They'll definitely break with the club, and then the Yankees will upgrade from there. And then Cade Winquist, who's a Rule 5 guy from the Cardinals. We'll see if he can hang on. But, just like all these other big market teams, like when we looked at the Mets or we looked at the Dodgers, or we looked at the Cubs or we looked at the Phillies, there's just a million NRIs, a million potential guys that throw gas, waiting to jump into the back end of this bullpen and work their way north. I don't think this is the best group that they've had in a long time, but they tend to be pretty strong in the bullpen. So overall, this is a very solid team, not a ton of holes. If we're going to look at potential downfalls of this team, it's if nobody steps up to be able to hit behind Judge, and then they can mitigate his danger a little bit. Grisham, we talked a little bit about Trent when he ended up signing back, and it's just the fact that last year was such an outlier that it's going to stink if he can't do that again. I mean, just before I even look at the metrics, you just look at the actual production. I mean, he had a 6.67 and a 6.75 OPS the previous 2 years. And then last year, 8.12. The on-base percentage, 348. That's a really good job. That's what they're looking for at the top of the lineup. He's never going to hit for average. His batted ball profile is not that. But he did pull a lot of balls in the air last year, which resulted in a lot of home runs at Yankee Stadium. And, in that way, it was a really good fit. And I'm curious if he can back that up again. That's what it looks like. He's got a great mustache, and he pimps everything in center. And I'm a big fan of him. But he's got a lot to prove this year. It's funny. You start off with a dominant year, and everybody immediately says, yeah, all right, prove it again, including myself. And that's even being a fan of Trent himself. It's true. You have to reprove it always in this game, so we'll see. This was a weird one. I remember this in real time off Griffin Jacks. Kind of a wall scraper down there. But that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to walk and pull balls in the air. Obviously, Judge's season, Doesn't really need to be gone over too much, but you have to drive home the point for a second. He's approaching Barry Bonds territory. It's not quite there, but he's pretty damn good. Look at that. That's obscene. And he does that with second percentile whiff in zone. So he can swing and miss in the zone, just not too often. You're not going to get 3 of them usually, you know? And look at the numbers when he's played the last 3 seasons. I mean, and really the year before that, he broke the record with the homers. So really the last 4 or 5 years, he's gone to a different planet. And that's really why the Yankees are so good, is they have this guy. So where else could it fall apart? Stanton's health. Jazz trying to do too much. If McMahon can't hit, if they don't get production at a shortstop or catcher, then all of a sudden the lineup can look kind of all or nothing pretty fast. But I'm pretty optimistic, as you can tell. I think this is a very good team. Obviously, the proof's in the pudding. They scored a lot of runs last year. And then, obviously, as a pitching staff, I like it as well. Now, they have two interesting players that get a lot of talk. And they're not listed anywhere here, right? You don't see Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones anywhere here. Seems like Cash and everybody was pretty content on keeping these guys down, right? But Spencer Jones has looked a lot different so far in camp, getting the foot down in a little different manner. You know, I think he's always going to have swing and miss as part of his game, but you also see absurd amount of power out of this guy. And I'm curious if he can improve himself just by the right amount. If you can turn the dial just to a respectable level of swing and miss, you might have a monster on your hands. He's been impressive so far in camp. Dominguez, the Martian, was one of the most hyped players ever. I think he's still a pretty good hitter. I think he's still a pretty good player. But there's no room for him on this squad right now. Maybe on the bench, but I mean, in a perfect world, you want this guy playing all the time. I mean, he's still only 23 years old. So it's fascinating to watch. Spencer Jones said he is modeling his approach in the box after Ohtani. Well, pretty good guy to model it after, right? And Shohei, if you recall, way back in spring training when he first came over at the plate, he had a crazy leg kick, and it wasn't working. His timing was in shambles. The MLB pitchers were having their way with him. And then he decided, no, I'm just going to keep my foot in the ground and pivot that thing and make my load a little more simple. And obviously the rest is history. Shohei. So not a bad guy to model your game after, and we'll see how that goes. Here's Dominguez. Here was the season last year. In 429 plate appearances, he hit 10 home runs, stole 23 bags, hit 257, 331 on base, 719 OPS, serviceable. Unfortunately, he's pretty bad in the outfield. Look at the outs above average, -9. Tends to be a little bit of an adventure out there. But by no means should you give up on this guy. He's got tools, namely physical tools. Arm strength, 92nd percentile. Sprint speed, 84th percentile. Bat speed, 80th percentile. Those are all good numbers. Those are all good physical numbers. So, I mean, you know, I wouldn't give up on him, but this is part of the issue when you're on the New York Yankees. And it's something that I've always said, going back to my whole history of watching the Yankees. If I know nothing else, I know this. All the fans expect is an all-star at every position and perfect play at all times. So if you're not providing somewhere close to that bar, you're probably going to get replaced. And right now, Cody Bellinger, they're paying him a gazillion dollars to play left. They're paying Grisham 22 to play center, and they're paying Judge 40 to play right. So there's really no place for either of these guys. And if they were somewhere else, they might get a longer runway, but they're not. And it's going to be interesting how that all shakes itself out. And this could be a situation where they might have missed the boat on a guy like Dominguez when the hype was really high and the prospect pedigree was really, really high to maybe move him. And even Jones has been moved off of a lot of top 100 lists. So it's fair to wonder what you could get for these guys. But it does seem like this is a surplus, right? Not necessarily the best situation for these two individuals. So apparently Dominguez can't hit from the right side. What were those splits last year? Let's take a look at that. Jeez, I already clicked that. I'm clicking. Wait. Timeout. Timeout 1 second. That's that name. Double S's. All right, so let's go look at his splitterooskies real quick. From 2025 by handedness. Yeah, versus righties 768 OPS, versus lefties 569 with 1 home run. So yeah, it makes it a little bit of an issue. They want to play him in a platoon situation, but again, Bellinger's left-handed, so he's batting versus righties. Grisham's left-handed, so he's batting versus righties, and Judge never stops playing. So he's in a little bit of a tough spot, and ultimately he was benched down the stretch. And so again, these are two interesting players. They're both young. They both have upside. I'm intrigued personally by Jones. I resent it a lot when people write players off before they even get to the big leagues. And this guy had an 800 OPS last year in AAA. Let me see if I can find him. I mean, this is just the results, so I'm not even going to get into the metrics on him because we kind of know what they are. But last season in AAA, he had an 897 OPS, and in AA, he had a 984. So I get it. I get the issues. But he's also a pretty sneaky good defender with really good other tools. And I just think people can improve. So I'd like to watch it and see if it plays out, because if they can get him right, the upside's super high. It's like Judge. Judge came in and he was striking out like crazy, and he had a lot of similar issues, and now you see where he is. So I would never bury a guy because of a profile like that when he hasn't gotten an opportunity to punch back yet, is my only point there. Oh, here's a good question about the Yankees in general from Christopher. I like this question. What do you think of the critique that they excel in ways that maximize regular season wins, slugging and pitching, but struggle with fundamentals, defense, and base running, which limits them versus elite teams? I think this is a very fair criticism over the past several seasons, and I actually tend to somewhat agree with this narrative. No doubt they have prioritized some of those top-end skills, exit velocity, pitching velocity. They're looking for slugging, strikeouts, swing and miss, things that are more foolproof over large sample sizes, which is what the regular season is. And look, the Yankees don't not make the playoffs. In my whole lifetime, I think that's 1 year, no playoffs, maybe 2. So it does work. And look, they have had egg on their face in the postseason many, many times. I think it's fair to say that in the past, they haven't had enough variance in their lineup. They haven't done the little things well in the tight games. I think there's some truth to there's a lot of pressure to be a New York Yankee in a big moment. I certainly felt that in my career at times when I was there. But I think they've addressed a lot of that. They have a more interesting fundamental team right now than those other years, at least a little bit more well-rounded in my opinion. Players like McMahon and Caballero give them a little bit of a different look than maybe they had previously. They were getting nothing out of third base offensively or defensively. At least now they have an elite defender. Caballero brings a speed element. Last year was the first year in a long time the Yankees stole bases. So to me, that brings another element to their game that can help them manufacture runs in tough circumstances in the postseason. So I can agree with it to some extent, and they were limited a little bit by the contracts they gave out. And I remember in 21 when I was on the Red Sox, the Yankees were extremely power-oriented and right-handed. They were kind of easy to pitch to. But I think they have more variety now. And they've even done a good job developing some of their own guys to aid, the guys that they spend money on. So Jazz is another one that's sort of a more of a versatile, multifaceted player than they had before. And so I think they've somewhat tried to address those concerns as well. They don't have quite the benefit that the Dodgers have of just high stepping to the playoffs and planning only for that. Fortunately, they play in the AL East, so you're gonna have to earn it really hard. Now, it's not the unbalanced schedule anymore, but they're still gonna have to earn the crap out of everything they get. So to me, they have to play for the regular season a little bit, and then they have to have it work out in the postseason. But I think they've taken some steps. I think that's a fair and a very good question. Thank you for that question. McMahon bias because of the rock stars. Yeah, he was a Rocky. I did play with Rymac. There's no doubt about that. One thing that I'm encouraged about with this guy specifically is they're narrowing up his stance a little bit. I don't think we have that that graphic yet, which we will once he's in the game. We'll see exactly how his stance has changed. I think they've narrowed him up a little bit. In the past, I didn't like how wide his stance was. I felt like it definitely limited his swing adjustability at times. But look, defensively, he's great. Six outs above average. And you see the raw ability in here if he can put the ball in play. 2% whiff, 2% K. I mean, that's not very good at all. But again, all he has to do is make a little bit more contact, and there's a 30 home run season in here and an 800 OPS season in here. But maybe it's a little easier said than done at age 31. And yeah, maybe I'm a little biased on that. I would admit to that. But I like the fact that he's making an actionable change under the hood, and we'll see how that plays itself out. This is sort of the bigger issue to me, is the Blue Jays matching up with the Yankees. So far, the Yankees have not proven that they can beat the Blue Jays head-to-head with the way these teams are currently constructed. The Blue Jays starting staff with the north-south approach with a lot of splitters really neutralizes these Yankees really, really well. You Savage, Gosman. Now they have Cease, who's a north-south. Ponce is a north-south. So in a lot of ways, they kind of dominate them on that side of the ball and on the other side of the ball. Rodon and Fried have struggled massively versus the Blue Jays. So those are questions the Yankees have to answer one way or another. Head-to-head, it's an issue. And the Blue Jays are out in front of them in the head-to-head battles as of late. I think that's fair. So good comment there. Did I end up seeing Carlos Legrande pitching for the Yankees yesterday? Dude looks like a monster. So I'm gonna watch him when I'm done with the AL East. I watched his first start. I've talked about him a little bit already. I love that he operates at 3 levels of speed, 100, 90, and 80. Really hard to time those up. And he's been a strikeout monster, and his changeup being his best pitch is not something you see at a lot of guys with 100, which gives me some confidence that maybe he can stick as a starter, and that would be really good. But they don't need him to right away, but I think he could actually knock the door down a little bit with how nasty he is. He had one of the highest strikeout rates in the minors, if not the highest last year. So he kind of came out of nowhere and was gross, but that's a big deal. What else we got here when we're thinking Yankees? So the Garrett Cole factor, I mean, he's been looking great. Obviously, I'm friends with him. We talked a little bit. He's been doing good all along the way. I'm going to knock on wood on all those types of things because I care about him and I want him to come back and be great. But, at the same time, it's going to be curious to watch. I did catch the new delivery. I've been on record saying I don't think that'll stick. I think he'll go back to his old delivery at some point. But to me, he could be the guy that could equalize a little bit versus the Blue Jays. He has a history of dominating the Blue Jays, especially that Cy Young year a couple years ago. So we'll see. But I mean, this guy's like a bull just waiting to get out there and knock some people around. And I think he's going to come back guns blazing. That's just a gut feeling. So that's my feeling on the Yankees. If I had to pick a player to take a step forward, for me, it's Ben Rice. Ben Rice's numbers only barely scratched the surface of what he's actually been starting to look like under the hood. I think he could develop into an absolute monster. I mean, look at this Savant page. It's hard to have a better Savant page than that offensively. So there's a bunch of people I could have picked, but I am picking Mr. Ben Rice. I think 836 OPS is just scratching the surface. I think he's primed to go even higher than that. And for my pick to take a step back, I'll pick Aaron. No, I'm just kidding. He'll be fine. Take a step back. I mean, shit. There's a lot of people who you can throw sprinkle a little bit of doubt on. Even Jazz, as much as I like him as a player, there's a lot of pressure on him this year. He might have put a lot of pressure on himself. Who knows? I think I could see him getting some ABS calls wrong, but I'm not going to pick Jazz. because he's too talented and the incentives do line up. I think when he's locked in, he's that good, and I think that makes a big difference. Man, step back, guys. I'm gonna have to pick one of these relievers, and I think maybe it's Bednar. And I love David Bednar. I think he's fantastic, but I just think he has a lot of pressure on him. So I think he'll do fine. It's either him or Doval, or just like they have a lot riding on them. And I think the expectations are really high. So even if they're merely good instead of great, they might qualify. So I'll pick one of those two, just because I know what it's like. Sometimes in the Yankee bullpen, you can have 50 straight good outings, and if you have the wrong outing at the wrong time, it can be tough to handle. So I've seen it before. All right, let me get in the chat for a little bit here. See what you guys are saying. Oh, somebody had it here. Bednar has a lot of pressure. Somebody said it here. Hold on. Yep, you're on it. I'd love to see Max Fried not suffer through another season of blisters. People are calling for a Fried step back. He's a dandy of a pitcher, Max Fried. One of my favorites. Really smart. I know he scuffled a little bit down the stretch and into the postseason, but yeah, I mean, you could argue a little step back maybe, but I simply put, I just think he's really good. I just think he's really good. He doesn't even need to strike out a lot of guys to be elite. Amazing contact controller, pickoff move, fielder. Pitcher can go to another level in big spots. I mean, look at the breadth of the arsenal at this point. And also this pitch that he picked up last year, this sinker. This is something that him and Rodon started throwing last year. And I kid with Boone and some of the guys over there when I would talk to them. Like, what do you guys know? What's your little magic sprinkling dust to get guys who have really good four-seamers, or cutters in Fried's case, four-seam ride cut, to then also somehow have a pretty good sinker? Oh, my bad. Like when you click on his sinker, I mean, averaging 4.3 inches of rise, you wouldn't think he could do that. And then, yes, it's a one-seamer, Phillips on it. So they know something about seam orientation that I don't think every team's on yet. Max, Rodon, and you're going to see it with Weathers this year. He's going to be throwing one of these. So I don't know. It just gives you such a breadth of options, and he's got them all. For me, curveball's his best pitch, other than that fastball that cuts. But he's just got such good pitchability, and so I'm not gonna bet against Max. I'm really not. I also know he's a little bit of a psycho competitor, so that's a good place to be. And we have already talked about the Yankees for quite a while. Trying to get myself up here to Doval. Doval made me nervous every time he pitches when with San Francisco. So this is a very interesting player that we should talk about for a second. Was a dominant closer at one point for the Giants. It's a super weird arsenal. None of these pitch shapes are typical at all. Driven by a really low arm slot. The sinker, I mean, 5.1 and 7.5, so it's like no run, but good drop. That's weird, even though he throws it hard as crap. This is allegedly a cutter, but it doesn't have true cut. But he's throwing it at 98, so in a way, it's kind of good, I guess. Weird is good. Remember, weird is good. And then the slider, this is probably his best traditional pitch, with an above-average amount of movement to the left and with good velocity. It's a good pitch, but it's just a weird arsenal that usually compounds into very weak contact. That's kind of his game. One of the things I've worried about with him is fielding, runners, fundamentals. Those are things you can see him struggling with. And you've seen that he has struggled before. I mean, in 2024, 4.88. The whip is up at 158, even last year at 132. That's not exactly what you want in a lockdown guy. You don't want a lot of traffic. And typically, if you're going to have traffic, you want to see those strikeout numbers a little bit higher. So that would be the concern with him, and why I understand why Victoria was saying he made her a little nervous. And I think that's beyond fair. So I'm curious to see how he comes in, how the Yankees continue to mess with him, because I think weird is good. but he's not necessarily settling into a foolproof set of skills either. So that's my thought on Doval. Like, definitely a high variance arm despite the talent this year for the Yankees, and I think that's fair in that point. In before AO hates the cutter. So I don't like a lot of the cutters, but his is a weird pitch, and he's got a weird arm angle, so I'm not going to totally poo-poo it. It's also like 97. So that's one thing that I thoroughly enjoy. Obviously. Alrighty. So I think that's it for the Yankees. I'm not 100% sure if I think I'm gonna pick them to win the division. But God, it's close. I mean, who the hell knows in this division? So the next team that we're gonna go over, that was just actually, like I just talked about it. Stylistically, they match up really well with the Bronx Bombers. They went within one. I mean, the smallest margin of losing the World Series ever. And it's the Toronto Blue Jays, who spent the most money this offseason and have done some really interesting things. And I'm a big fan of it. And I do think they're still going to be really hard to play head-to-head. But, I mean, it could go either way with them and even the Red Sox. But anyway, let's go through the Jays. So, Springer, can he do it again? He looked incredible, like he drank from the fountain of youth. I thought the guy was cooked 2 years ago. And he was far from cooked. He was incredible last year. One of the best hitters in the sport. So Springer, can he do it again? Right now they have Varsho in the 2-hole. This was the old Bichette spot. That's a big ask, but I do like breaking up the righties a little bit. And we'll see. Vlad, finally, I feel like, I mean, his at-bats in the postseason were that freaking good. They really were. Ooh, you guys are ready for the glaze? I mean, I'm going to do my best because there's some things I really like on this team, obviously. Barger, he's an interesting one who's like benefited a lot from working with Popkins over there. Curious to see how he looks this year. Kirk, I think he's on the short list of best catchers in the game. Jesus Sanchez, we talked about when this trade happened for Loper Fido. This is like now the third or fourth team that's trying to decide whether they can get the most out of him. He's got incredible physical tools. But it just hasn't really necessarily put it together yet. His best year being 2023, and even in that year, only 14 bombs, 777. So didn't jump off the page, but it's like crazy bat speed. When he hits it, he hits it. I think it was a good gamble, but I'm curious to see how it plays out. Haven't seen him make many adjustments yet in the big leagues, which is a little concerning because he's been here a while. And then this is my favorite move that they made. I've been on record saying I love Okamoto. I think he's a really freaking good player. He's been playing awesome so far in spring. He's even looked good at third base. He's a pro, man. This was a sneaky, freaking great signing. I'm a big believer in this, and he could take them up a whole nother level. Now, Jimenez at short, that means defense will be locked down, and Clement was a hero in the postseason and a fan favorite. Kind of can play all over the field. I like the fact that he's going to get everyday run. No Anthony Santander hurts, and also we have to talk about the fact that they narrowly missed out on Tucker. Tucker in that Barger spot in the 4-hole. Oof, this team would have been incredible, but they didn't get him. And instead they spent their money in other ways. Santander being long gone sucks. I had mentioned that I thought he could be the guy behind Vlad. And I know a lot of analysts will poo-poo what I'm talking about with the protection stuff behind, the best player, but I believe in it. I just know as a player, if you're in a 2-1 count and you have a hitter, you can look on that on deck circle, and you know that you can get that guy out. Changes your plans a little bit with the batter you're facing. So that's real. That's just straight up real. So yeah, I mean, they were the best contact team last year in the big leagues. Well, that should stick. That's a sticky skill. But I guess my big question marks with the lineup are: is Springer going to repeat? Can Varsho or Barger take the leap, or Sanchez? Other than that, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident in Okamoto. Schneider was kind of the platoon piece that can hit lefties off the bench. Lucas actually played a ton in the postseason and was pretty solid. Here's where I really like them a lot. In the rotation. I mean, it's a very deep rotation all of a sudden. You got Gosman, you got Cease, you got Savage, you got Barrios, who seems like he's patched everything up. And then you got this guy, Cody Ponce, who debuted the other day. If we have video of that, I'd like to watch that. I know I didn't mention the Bo thing either. Obviously, it's a different team without Bo. But then they also have Bieber, who eventually will be right. And then now they have Scherzer in the mix as well. I was hoping that they would have that Ricky Tiedemann guy in the mix, but he's hurt again. And so, thanks, Philly. This is funny. And I guess Ponce looked good. He averaged 97 in that first start, came out guns blazing. It was only on MLB TV, or Shake My Head wasn't broadcasted on Sportsnet, unfortunately. Do you know who they were playing? I can go look that up in a minute if somebody tells me who Ponce pitched against. So I love what they did with rotation. Is it a little right-handed? Yeah, they do also have Lauer, whatever. But at the same time, it's an intriguing rotation. A lot of north-south guys, which against some teams is just going to carve them up, and some maybe not as much. But I mean, I generally like these guys. Cease was not my favorite free agent, but that's not to say he's a bad pitcher. So they'll have a great rotation. Bullpen, I think they're a little light on. Not that I don't like some of these dudes, and I love the Rogers signing. But it puts a lot of pressure on Hoffman and Varland to both be lights out in the closer role and in the fireman role. Because I don't think Rogers can really pivot to either of those. You could close them, but you don't really want to. Ponce faced the Tigers. Okay, let's just see really quick if I have that. Blue Jays and Tigers. Let's see if we have any video of this. I'm not confident here, but. No. That's a shame. We do have his metrics. We can just sit here and look at his metrics. First pitch was 95. Next pitch was a curveball, -12. Matter of fact, let's just go to the game on Baseball Savant so I can look at his thingamajig. So was this yesterday that Ponce pitch? No, it must have been 2 days ago. We'll take a quick look because I mean we were curious what his metrics were going to look like coming out of Korea. All right, so he was 45% fastball, 23% changeup, 23% cutter, 9% curveball in this game. Didn't throw any curveballs versus righties, but was all 4 pitches versus lefties. Averaged 96, up 2.8 from the last time we saw him. Everything was up. Changeup up, cutter up, curveball up. So he came back throwing way harder. He generated 40% whiff on his changeup, 50% whiff on his cutter, and obviously this is a small sample. All right, let's look at the movement on these pitches. Four seam average 17. That's pretty good. That's above average. And 9, that's right around average. Changeup 5 and 8. With a really low spin. So that's like a forkball or some sort of weird kick thing going on. 780 spin. That's an interesting pitch. So I like that. Whatever he learned there, that's interesting. Here's the cutter. 11 and 1. So pretty typical cutter shape for an over-the-top guy. Curveball. -12 and 3. So pretty north-south. Everything he's got is pretty north-south. To say the least. This was his old profile. So he's moved into a more straight up and down profile since 2021 when he left. Obviously, I wish we had the video. I'm sorry, guys, we don't. But, it's spring training. Sometimes they don't have everything. So Ponce is saying it's, JT4 is saying it's a kick change. Okay, maybe it's a kick change. Something, but it's low spin, and so I'm curious to watch it. We'll definitely do a watching video on his return to the big leagues for sure, since he's a pretty big signing this year. Back out of Korea. I think they were saying the data was a little weird. Whatever they were using to measure the spin rate was a little messed up, apparently, just going off of what TJ Stats said. Okay, well that's good. TJ Stats knows his stuff, so we'll see. It sucks that Bowden Francis is out for the year with Tommy John. We'll see when Bieber and Scherzer impact, and also looks like Yimi Garcia might be out. That would kind of stink for them. I'm very high on this club. I love what they've done with the rotation in terms of depth. I just don't think in a 162 setting this lineup scores as many runs as the Yankees. And that's why I'm not sure about the record. I do think head to head they're still going to probably take care of them. They match up extremely well. That north-south attack is more platoon neutral generally. In fact, even reverse split with some of these guys like his Savage. He's going to destroy every lefty. So if you have good lefties, good luck against him. And we also got some good information this offseason when I talked to Kike about what it was like in the box, and he bats right-handed against you, Savage, and obviously said it took some getting used to. So that's always a good place to be. Garcia is confirmed to be out for at least the start of the year. It opens up a spot for Angel Bastardo, who is very nasty in his showing so far this spring. Okay. Varsho got 20 home runs in a half season. If he stays healthy, he could be on pace for 40. Varsho is obviously one of the more interesting players in baseball. Short king, former catcher, but fast. Turned into the outfield. One of the better outfielders in the game. What a fantastically interesting player. 95th percentile outs above average, and that's a cumulative stat. He only played 271 plate appearances last year, so he would grade out there up near Cedar Rafaela and PCA at that rate. So ridiculous defender. So freaking good. And you're right, 20 pumps, only 271 plate appearances. That's a 548 slug. I'm not going to sit here and project him to necessarily do it again because that's a far cry from where he was previously in his career. But that's encouraging, and they need this guy. They need this guy offensively. He becomes he becomes a very expensive player because like in terms of value, because the defense is sick. All right, let's look at his metrics hitting wise. He's selling out for all power. But he's not necessarily bottom of the barrel with whiff or chase either. Like those aren't super duper, like they're low, but they're not like game over low. Like I can never recover from this low. They're just like a regular amount of low. So, we'll see. What did he look like in 24? Outfield defense was still there. Bat speed was still there. Actually, Chase was a little better. So he has some history of controlling the zone better, but not swinging as violently. I wonder if his bat speed really crept up last year or what. No, it actually went down. Actually, we don't have any 2025 metric, but the bat speed's always kind of been there. Arm strength fell apart, but I guess that was an injury maybe? I don't know. Varsho's an interesting player. Thanks for having me look at that. Varsho hits 40 if he plays 150 games. I don't think he could hit 40, but I think if he's healthy, he could be a 30-homer guy. He was a lot better getting to high fastballs late in the season, something he struggled with a lot before. In fact, you're totally right about that. In fact, I remember he got to one in that Mariners series. George Kirby, maybe? Peppered that one. And so shoulder injury was also the case. A little bit of the case for his arm strength decline. Okay. I can drink the Varsho Kool-Aid with you guys. I mean, I've always been a fan of him as a player. I didn't realize he was going to maybe become this type of hitter. But that would be intriguing. Barger's the other one that you have to take a quick look at because he was pretty impressive last year in that he swings hard, but he also has a two-strike approach. He had that huge game-over grand slam, I want to say, in Game 1 of the World Series. Defensively, not the best, but not the worst. Does have that cannon. Made a couple big throws in the postseason as well. Hits the ball hard. He's just an intriguing player. He needs to be big because somebody has to hit behind Vlad. I think that's the biggest thing. Barger hits balls hard. Barger has a tank of an arm. That is true. He does. He can throw. He can really throw. Wonder if I can find something like that. Some fun. Yeah. Addison Barger. Let's watch him make a throw. Why not? Let's see. Let's see this throw. Mad Max going to benefit here. Soler. Oh, he juggled it too. And Trouty, you're not as fast as you used to be, brother. All right, so that's one. Let's see another one here. Because I felt like we didn't get a good view of that. Oh, yeah, get some steam behind a kid. Oh. You're out. You're out by a lot. All right, what else we got? Ooh, Jaron Duran. You know, and I feel like arm value might matter even more in a turf field. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Ball gets to you a little quicker. You have a little more opportunity to impact. I've always felt like right fielder. Oh, this was just a weird play. That was a relay. Duran tried to get froggy there. I don't know. I wonder about that. I wonder about that a little bit. Like if there's certain outfields that are more... Well, obviously with a shorter wall, like there's years Manny Ramirez led the league in an outfield assist, so like you get that perspective, but like maybe if the turf contributes. Dude. Dumper was slow getting out of the box there. All right, so you see what Barge can do. He can throw some guys out. Big fan of that. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're going to be right there. You know, my predictions, I have them going very far again. Even if they don't win the division, I have them advancing in the postseason. I mean, now that they have that that grit to them, it's going to be interesting to watch. I do think Bassett was a little bit of a big loss culture-wise. I know they still have Schurz. I guess it's fair to ask how Hoffy will be this year. Hoffman, you know, 2 outs away from closing it out, gives up the home run to Rojas. I guess that's fair. Big fan of Varland. Little looked great in his spring outing the other day. He was throwing like 98. He's got a great sinker. I've always liked Fisher as a reverse split guy. But overall, I think the bullpen's a little light. So I would give them a little bit of a negative grade for their bullpen. I think that it's nothing great. I just really like the rotation. I like the way that they go about it offensively. All right. Player 2, step forward. Player 2, take a step back. So everybody's on this Varsho train, huh? Slow Burner's got 97. Canadian Baseball's got 95 in the chat here. And then people are asking what happened to Ricky Tiedemann. He's just been hurt too much. I know he's electric, but he's been hurt too much. Remember when Manny Ramirez high-fived the fan in Baltimore and doubled the guys out? Rogers, what's great about him is he's going to pitch like 80 games, so that's nice. All right, so step forward. I mean, look, there's some picks here. Varsho, Barger, Sanchez. Okamoto, I don't know what the expectations are, so I'm tempted to say him because I love him. I think he's going to be awesome. But I guess I'll drink the Varsho Kool-Aid. You guys convinced me a little bit. Good job, chat. If he's going to be a great defender and now the power's starting to come into his own, he's starting to get to some pitches he wasn't getting to before, and he's a 30 home run hitter, I mean, now you're talking about a star player. Step back. I mean, look, there's only 2 people that it could be. Well, there's more than that. Because there's people here with big expectations now. Cease and Yasavage are coming in with major expectations. I'm not going to pick against the kid because I do think that the league is not ready still for what he's bringing to the table. And as much as I'm tempted to pick against Cease because he's not my favorite, I'm not going to pick against him either. A lot of times the first impression can be really good. He's switching leagues, the whole 9. I think Springer's the pick. And it's just because now if everybody thinks he's just going to go back to being like, if he's just like this guy, like in perpetuity, that's probably not realistic. He is old and he doesn't really want to play the outfield anymore. And at some point, the body's not going to feel good. So, I mean, look at the come up last year. He went to 959 OPS off of 2, you know, whatever years in the previous years. It is notable that he's still able to pop about 20 home runs a year in those years. But now that he can't play defense, he's a one-trick pony. So he's got to continue to mash. And I think now that, you know, 99th percentile ex-WOBA, so I'm not asking for much. If it's like 70th percentile ex-WOBA, it's probably a disappointment now. So I'll pick him. A little bit of a cop-out, but I don't like to bag on anybody. I mean, I like these guys. You're just looking at guys with high expectations where you could see some faulty faulty, possibility of some shit falling through. Georgie added bat speed. Let's see how he does. Springer will DH 120 games. If you wanted to save Springer for playoffs, who are you platooning in the DH spot? I don't know. That's a good question. This is where it sucks they don't have Santander a little bit, but it's not like Barger's a plus defender. You can get him out of there occasionally. Or, even maybe Okamoto to some extent. I don't know. That's a good question. Not sure I have the answer to that. So somebody asked me to talk more about Cease and why I'm not as high on Cease as everybody else is. And honestly, I see it here, and Farrell's talking about it a little bit. Cease relies on chase. If he can get it, he strikes out the world. If he has to come into the zone, he gets blown up. So look, Cease has great shit. There's no denying it, and he's also been incredibly durable, which I think is an underrated skill. And I guess the reason why I'm not as high on it is because I agree with you that the only way he really knows how to go about it is to try to strike every batter out. This is a classic stuff over pitchability type of guy for me. He doesn't strike guys out looking. He needs you to chase balls. And then on top of that, he just throws too much of the two pitches, right? As nasty as they are, if you're 42% four seam and 41% slider, so just off the top of my head, that's 83%, one or the other. That tells me you can get into a pretty predictable situation. Now, he's tried curve. I don't know if you've seen his changeup. It's insane. He throws it super slow. He's tried sinker. He's tried sweeper. Nothing's really stuck yet for him. Maybe something will stick and he can become a better contact manager. But he's kind of like that Yankees regular season version type of guy. Like, I'm going to chase so much swing and miss, and you guys are going to chase my slider enough where I'm going to get a lot of strikeouts, and I'm probably going to put up a lot of zeros because of whiffs. But I just don't think he manages contact great, and he hasn't figured that out quite yet. And so it makes me concerned that he's going to be dealing with a little bit of inconsistency. And that's what we've seen the last 3 years, 4.58, 3.47, then 4.55. And all 3 years he punched the world. So I don't know. I just have seen it before. And if the stuff comes down a tick and he doesn't figure out how to manage his contact, it could go bad. It could go bad quick. So that's kind of my thing on it. And I'm rooting for him. And obviously the Blue Jays have a lot of faith in him. They wasted no time giving him $200 million. And so we'll see. Eno was saying his mix in September was showing some signs of adjustment. So we can check that. Pitch percentage by month of last year. I mean, I guess the knuckle curve went up a little bit as the season progressed into the 10th percentile, and there was also an attempt to throw more sweepers. Sweeper percentage definitely went up to 8.6, but I mean, it's pretty small jumps. And it looks like he tried a little bit of sinker. Like he went up to it hard in August, and then he pivoted down a little bit in September. But that could be a little bit of noise, depending on whether he faced a lot of righties or lefties. So, I don't know. Pete Walker's a great pitching coach. He's in a good place to be. There's a lot going for him. It's not my cup of tea if I were going to pay $200 million, but that's me. C's punched out 225. Add in Jay's defense. He's going to be in the Cy Young race. That's a very optimistic take. Very optimistic take. We will find out, right? Because, Ruben Niebla, not for nothing, pretty damn good pitching coach as well out in San Diego. So, again, I think every time I hear him speak, I'm impressed. Thoughtful guy. I don't know. There's one thing I can't mention it on the stream that makes me definitely wonder a little bit about him. Can't mention it, but anyway, whatever. It's one guy's opinion, and he could shut me up, and I hope he does, because that would be awesome. And I don't wish ill will on any of these dudes. I hope they dominate. But again, I like guys who get strikeouts but also manage contact at the very high end, like $200 million level. Me personally. All right. So that's it. We did the Jays. I think they're right there with the Yankees. It's almost impossible to project the winner of this division. It's going to be so freaking close. But God, it's close. It's close. It's close. Maybe the Blue Jay bullpen puts them a little further down. I don't know. It's just like we're going to have to watch it play out, and that's what's so fun about this. All right, next ball club, another former team of mine, is the Red Sox. This team cut my old ass last year at the end of spring. They said, "You don't have it anymore, old man." And I thought that was pretty amusing. Not really. I really wanted to be on the team, and it didn't work out, but whatever. Okay, so here is the Red Sox lineup. Roman, what a stud. Story, who really looked good in the second half last year. Can he keep it going? Duran probably has the most impact on whether this team can go to another level offensively or not. He wasn't far off last year. I know the numbers weren't there, but he's probably one hot streak away from being there. And he's awesome when he's right. Speed, power, the whole thing. Contreras, which was their big pickup this offseason offensively. I really like it. You know, they didn't get Pete Alonso, which I thought would have been the perfect fit. But at the same time, this is a good fit too. Contreras banged really good the last 2 years. All right, Abreu, who is a tremendous outfielder and also a really good hitter. Just a player that, for being a Red Sox, not a famous player, unbelievable player. Durbin, we covered him in the trade that they just made. They traded off, who did they give over there? Kyle Harrison and somebody else. I don't know. I mean, he's an interesting player. Small guy, controls the top of the zone, should play well in Fenway, has other skills besides hitting that will help them. Okay, what else? Sadon, who we love in the outfield, hitting, swings too much. Marcelo, who I like as a lot as a player, but it seems like they're really making him earn his spot here. Narvi, who was tremendous last year while playing hurt basically the whole year, really good thrower. So I like this offensive group. They always find a way to get it done. It's not as explosive as I wanted them to go. I wanted them to get Bregman and keep Bregman and bring in Polar Bear. That would have been a big difference. But the big difference is Roman being in the lineup for the full year. I mean, now everybody's shifted their attention to Connor Griffin, but Roman Anthony is the man. The man, the man, the man. He's going to be so good. What's this in the chat? AO hates Frisbees? What are we talking about? I'd throw the Frisbee. Cease has a new sweeper that he's trying to throw, but his main pitch is the gyro death ball slider pitch. And of course I like sweepers, but you got to have a good one because now everybody's got one. So, you know, if you have a mediocre one, they're not really good anymore. All right, AO. Did you feel you had to pitch differently at Fenway with the Green Monster and all other unique dimensions? Yeah, a little bit. What I would say is it's just another thing to consider is the park's dimensions. It's no different than Yankee Stadium, just reversed, right? You want to, if you're in a spot where you need to challenge a guy and he's going to put the ball in play, you want to keep him to the big part of the field. So Fenway, that's center and right. Yankee, that would be center and left, right? So at the end of the day, you know, if you're smart, you know how to pitch to that a little bit. And until I got fucking crazy jinxed when I was with the Red Sox, I had not allowed a home run into September, and then I gave up 5 in September, the year I was there in 21. But in general, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what you try to do a little bit. It's not like a huge thing, but it's just one other thing. It's just one other thing to consider in certain circumstances. Okay, I'm backed in a corner. He's probably going to have a good chance to put this ball in play. Let's keep him to the big part of the field, especially if he's a donkey and can hit home runs. Oh, you're talking about Frisbee golf. My bad. I used to play this a little bit when I went to my hippy-dippy sleepaway camps when I was a kid. We would play Ultimate Frisbee, Frisbee golf, all these granola games. I like being outdoors, so that's fun. But I'm not as hardcore as Dylan Cease is about it. I think he owns Frisbee golf businesses, right? Pretty crazy. All right, now let's talk about the pitching because, okay, so the bench, we all know about the bench. Yoshida, I don't know where he has any spot on this team, really. Monasterio is an interesting guy they got from the Brewers in that trade, and Kyron Falefa, same thing defensively. Connor Wong's now the backup, whatever. All right, pitching staff. So they're number one, I believe, in Fangraphs projections as a staff for WAR pitching. And it's just because of the amount of guys, quality options they have. Crochet is arguably the second best pitcher in the AL behind Skubal. He's right there. Suarez, we were a little concerned about the velo, but I mean, this guy's a master out there. Sonny's also a master out there. Sonny Gray. Haven't heard a lot about him early in camp. Be interesting to watch that. So he owns Frisbee Golf Businesses. Okay. I'm learning. I have you all pondering what Dylan did that makes me ponder about him. I don't think you're ever gonna figure this one out. But it's interesting. All right. Bayo in the 4 spot. So he got blasted in his spring training debut. I don't know. Interesting guy. He was throwing his changeup too hard last year. I seen Cora talking about it. I do like Bayo a lot, but I think stylistically he might be running into a little trouble with lefties potentially. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm at quite yet on Bayo. Good question. Oviedo, guy with tremendous raw physical ability, but has kind of been hurt in and out. Got him from the Pirates. We'll see what the Red Sox do with him. Obviously, they like him because of the physical tools. Red Sox are big on that stuff. And then in terms of the depth options, I mean, it's just crazy. Cutter Crawford will come back this year. Sandoval will come back this year. Those guys are both major league starters. Houck's not coming back this year. But then, you look a little further down, and it's really good. Tolley and Early, and I think Early is ready to be in the big league rotation. Personally, I think he is very, very good. Very polished for his age and where he's at, in his timeline. Tolley's more interesting to me. Love the personality. What a fantastic personality he has. And a fantastic fastball. I need to see the secondaries get better. I need to see the command get better. I need to watch him a full trip through the league. I'm not sure that he has enough yet, despite the incredible fastball characteristics. There's also this Jake Bennett guy who they got in the trade from the Nationals, who's a very, very interesting player. So they have the depth. They've traded away a bunch of it, Richard Fitz, and then what's the other guy that they traded to the Cardinals who was talking smack about the Yankees last year? Pretty good stuff. He got traded. I mean, they've been making trades, but they're still pretty damn depthy out there in the bullpen. And, I like the overall group, and I'm fairly certain that they're gonna have a dominant pitching staff, and that's what gives them a puncher's chance to win this division. Here's the bullpen. And, look, Chappie was unreal last year, arguably the best reliever in the game, on a way to, in my opinion, Hall of Fame career. He's still going to throw 100 somehow, and I like a lot of the changes he made last year with his targeting, and I think that will make a big difference. Garrett Whitlock is so underrated. He is so freaking good. When he's on the field, he's incredible, so excited to watch him in WBC as well. Slayton, who was unfortunately a little too injured last year, but has great stuff, good fireman type of guy. Weisert's your classic sweeper sinker, righty matchup guy. Kelly's the same. Really, I don't love the back end of their bullpen, and I think if there's one thing I know about the way they run it, they're going to have some great stuff guys out there, but they're probably not going to have a lot of certainty beyond the top 3, which makes me a little bit worried about their relief core. The saving grace is they have pitchers that are going to go deep into the game. Oh, it was Hunter Dobbins is who I was thinking of. Thanks, Jane. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. I'm big on a lot of what they do. Actually, this is a guy I didn't mention yet that I love is Tristan Casas. I know Romy Gonzalez has had a setback, so he's not going to make it to opening day, but he's a good platoon player when he's there. He'll continue to do what he does and be kind of in that Ref Snyder role. Casas is a big-time piece, and I don't care what anybody says. If he's on the field, I think there's a star hitter in there. I do. But he just hasn't been on the field, and right now he doesn't fit. He's a very big wild card for this team. I like that they have a wild card. I would love to have a wild card on any team I managed, for sure. I think that's always a fun dynamic. And then there's somebody else I want to mention, Christian Campbell. They made him make the team last year. They extended him. They sent him down. Who knows if he can impact the team, but he'll be interesting as well. So we'll see. Oh, thanks. Well, thanks for hanging. Appreciate it for the first hour and a half. That would be great. King Costas will be a player this year. He is a different cut, no doubt about it. So I've been wondering about this, Jane. Justin Wilson back. I've seen in the marketplace they've been looking allegedly for a lefty reliever, and then I see Justin Wilson's been sitting out there. This is the classic case of Breslow looking at his stuff metrics and his projections and giving him the side eye because he actually was, I want to say, results wise, pretty solid last year for the Red Sox, and like it would seem like a pretty easy re-sign, but they're giving him the side eye without a doubt, which I find interesting. I mean, he had 3.35 in 61 games. But, 38 years old. This is where Breslow starts to throw the doubt on him. Didn't love the walk rate, probably. Maybe there's a slight velo trend. So, curious where Willie ends up. He's been a dog. He's been out there for years. But, yeah, I don't know what the Red Sox are going to do. I think their bullpen's a little light. Now, of course, a guy like Tolley could go out there and be the man out in the bullpen necessarily. But we'll see. So I have the Red Sox, just a hair behind the other two. I have all three of these teams making the postseason. Yankees, Jays, and Red Sox. I have them all making the postseason. So you know how I feel about them. And I think it's going to be a pretty dang good. Ooh, 86 people in here. I just checked. That's awesome. It's going to be interesting. But I do have them a hair below the other two teams. It's close, though. It's close. So Whitlock could definitely be a starter, but he doesn't want to be a starter anymore because I think of the injury situations he's had in the past. But he's a lockdown reliever. I think he'll get paid big money at some point in the future as a reliever, even. So I'm definitely curious to watch Crochet in the new splitter. Haven't seen that yet. Be curious about that. I don't know. Is it frustrating to be a Red Sox fan a little bit with John Henry these days? I saw that he hasn't talked to the media in 5 years, which I find odd when you own the team. And I know that at the beginning they were electric under John Henry and Tom Lerner and all that, but I don't know. They don't feel the same. They let Bregman walk over a no trade clause, which surprised me a little bit. So I don't know, and I think this is where I think a little bit. I do think the bullpen a little bit, but I could see Tolley by the end of the year being a three-headed monster with these guys. It's going to be interesting. Cora is good at keeping these guys healthy, but he doesn't have as many options this year. Dude, Sox fan since '75. We won 4 World Series in my life. All good. All right, I respect that, and I think that's probably the right answer. I just find the dynamic interesting. Like obviously, you have great perspective, so you lived through a lot of the close but no cigar times, and then you got to experience the good times, and you appreciated that. So I think that's good. Not a Sox fan, but letting Bregman go like that made me mad on their behalf. Yeah, I mean, look, it looked like he was looking for stability more than anything. And honestly, these no trade clauses. How many guys have we seen waive their no trade clauses? We've seen it quite a bit. I think some of the Henry piece is a little bit about the ownership of Liverpool and the other interests and how locked in is he on their one team. So I think that could be interesting. I don't know. Okay, let's go with my pick to exceed expectations and my pick to take a step back. I'm tempted to exceed. I mean, shit. I think the expectations are pretty damn high on Roman. I'm pretty high on Roman, and I'll seem like I'm a Rockies homer if I pick Story, even though I think that's a solid pick. I think I'm going to stay away from Duran. I don't have a good feel on it. I think Abreu could even go to another level this year. He might be a decent idea. All right, I think we'll go with Wilyer Abreu. I just think he's a very underrated player that could potentially be taking a leap into a higher stratosphere. There he is. It would come with 800 OPS, 850 OPS, but he's right knocking on the door. Back-to-back years in the 780s, 22 home runs last year. Gold Glove caliber defense in right field. In right field, which is like a very unique position, an important position for the Red Sox. So, I'm definitely tempted to pick, and I am picking Willie Abreu to go forward. I think a little bit more offense. I saw he did some things with his weight. Got to remember last year he was limited in camp with like a stomach bug or something, some sort of illness. So he didn't even get out the gate. He might have put up even better numbers. So I'm going to pick Willier, and then take my step back. We got a couple Roman haters in here. Sophomore slump. We got Story as an option here. I don't know. I'm not picking Story. I think he finally got away from his injuries a little bit. It's got to be a pitcher then. Yeah, it could be Bayo, man. It could be Bayo. Could be Bayo. I think that's maybe where I'm at. Zach says the same here. Let me wait. Why am I clicking on my computer? Let me go to Bayo on here. I remember when I played for the Sox in 21, I was intrigued by him. He was like just getting to Double-A, and I remember telling some people that when I watched his video, I thought he was going to be a pretty good guy for us. Obviously, I was never played with him, but he put up his best year last year, so now the expectations are rising. 3.35, 28 starts, 166 and 2/3. He's not a huge strikeout guy. He was even lower a bit last year. So I think that would be the concern. You see the expected numbers do not back up what he was able to actually do. So here's what they were talking about a little bit was his changeup velocity. So he was at 88.8 last year on his changeup. And if we go back to the other years, 2024, 87.6, 2023, 86.2. And when you go look at the run value and the success level of his changeup, in the years where it was a bit slower, 22, 23, he had very good results on his changeup. Positive 8 run value in 23, positive 3 run value in 22. As it's crept harder, it went neutral, and then it went to a slightly negative pitch in terms of run value last year. So that's a bit of a concern. You need to have separation between those pitches, the fastball and the changeup. Whenever I watch him, I always feel like his lefty attack is very tenuous because he has to be incredibly accurate. This was his 2025 pitch usage versus each side. It's a lot of sinkers versus lefties. And when you throw sinkers versus lefties as a righty, you really, really need to locate. And I think he has good, not great command. So that can be a little bit of an issue. You see he's trying to go full kitchen sink. It's every pitch is over 15% versus lefties, whereas righties, he's basically, the basics, sinker and breaking ball. So I don't know. I'm going to pick Bayo to take a slight step back, but mainly only because he's had the expectations started to come to him, and I'm curious a little bit about what he does with that changeup, if he can make that a super plus pitch again, and if he can kind of reverse some of the trend that the Baseball Savant metrics are seeing. So that's it for the Sox. We've spent an hour and 14 minutes, and we've covered 3 teams. This has been a hell of a go. But I have nobody at home tonight except for my son who's asleep. So I can stay on a little bit longer, and we're fine. Here's a question. Should he put some seam shifted wake effect on the change? He likely already does. I'm curious really quick to look at how his ball's spinning. Changeup, 96% active spin makes me think, yeah, he doesn't really have any. So he would have to alter his grip a little bit. He does get some deviation, 45-degree deviation on his changeup, but I think you're right. He could maybe benefit by a little bit less active spin on the changeup to some extent. I don't know. Hard to say. I'd have to see exactly how it's rolling off his hand. And I'm trying to remember how it was last year, and I don't really totally remember anymore. What's crazy is I didn't even talk about Scherzer in the Blue Jays section. I just thought it was an interesting pickup, and I'm glad he's there because he clearly wants to be there. But I don't know when or how he impacts the team. It's going to be it's going to be very interesting. Family's away, so they're actually kind of all split up in different places, but it's all good. All right. We need to talk about the Orioles next, right? All right. Baltimore Orioles, they are now they're projected as the next team. Still not much further behind these others by Fangraphs, 84 and 78, so 2 games behind the Jays and Red Sox. They did a lot of stuff this offseason that, frankly, I wish they would have done a year prior, but I like a lot of what they did. I think this offense is going to be great. This offense will compete with the Jays and the Yankees for best offense in the division. Gunnar, Taylor Ward, who they got on the 1-year deal. 1 year in that he's a free agent after the year. And they gave up Grayson Rodriguez for him, which I thought he was throwing 98 the other day. So that was weird, but it does help their offense improve. Then they got Polar Pete, which was the biggest move. They needed to make that. They did it. They locked him in. I love that. I know they went for Schwarber first, but they needed one of those two. Adley. So Adley and Gunnar both need to bounce back. Adley especially. Beavers, we saw him a little bit at the end of the year, kind of a weird swing. Built for the top of the zone in a lot of ways. Don't have enough impact in terms of me understanding how good he is yet. Cowser, another big pedigree guy. Curious to watch him this year. Blaze Alexander, they got him from the Orioles. Now, one thing they're dealing with a little bit with this team is Holiday going down and Westberg going down. With those two guys in the lineup, it would look a lot better. Also, Basayo got hurt in the game the other day. Is he actually hurt or not? Not sure. But that's why Kobe Mayo's listed here, because Westberg's not in there. Kobe Mayo, another very hyped guy over the years. Now he's 24. Maybe going to get some run. So we'll see. Tyler O'Neill on the bench. He's probably going to get a lot more run. I'm surprised he's not penciled in here somewhere. Mountcastle no longer. Those are good hitters. Leody Taveras should be a versatile piece off the bench. So what can I say? I really, really like this offense. Oh, so he's fine. Just soreness. Good information there. Thank you. I feel like this team's going to put up a lot of runs. I think Pete's going to hit a bazillion home runs in this ballpark. Thank God Basayo's not really hurt, because I really like his swing and his upside at the DH spot, even though he's young. Yeah, they definitely expect the platoon. They're going to do that a lot. But overall, I love this offense. I mean, they do need Gunnar to be a top 10 player in baseball, which is where he should be, and we'll see. And Rushman, I don't know what's going on with him. Curious to see what adjustments he made. I love his everything he does, the way he greets the pitchers off the mound, and his presence and his switch hitting and his talent level. But yeah, he was a little concerningly bad last year. Let me check Adley before we keep talking. And I just need to see it again. I need to see it again, sir. 673 OPS should not be you. I know you were hurt for a bit. Even the year before, 709. Just very unexpected. Very unexpected out of him. Does have great plate discipline, but we need to hit the ball a little harder, impact the ball a little more. I know catching's tough, but they're expecting a lot of this guy. 1-1 player. I thought he was going to get a huge extension not that long ago, and now that's all on hold for sure. All right, in the rotation, this is where you can see some good and you can see some bad. The good is, Bradish has legit number 1 potential. Rogers, in the small sample, was absurd last year, and they have a really good amount of veteran depth throughout, including Bassett, who I love that signing late. Regular season, that's going to be massive, and then we know what he can do in the postseason, whether you want to shift him to the bullpen or whether he's one of the top 3 guys and you let him ride. Boz is a guy who I've been very down on as of late, but he gets with the new org, so we'll see what they do with him. He is very talented. Eflin, back-end innings eater, very good pitchability guy, and Kremer's kind of about the same. So in the way that it's not good is like if Rogers can't do it again, I don't know where that necessarily weighs out for him. And then your really only high-end guy would be Bradish. I'm not a huge believer in Boz. We'll see. I could be wrong there. I think Bradish is high end, but after that, I mean, as much as I love Bass, he's a 3 or a 4 regular season. I mean, he's a great the best 3 or 4 because he's going to put up close to 200 innings. But he's not dominating, and so I don't think this in the division. This is the worst of the 4 so far that we've seen rotations, and simply for that reason, it's a concern. Not that it's bad, but that's what the bar is set so high in this fucking division. In the bullpen, Helsley. I mean, look, I think he's gonna bounce back. Just throw more freaking sliders, dude. Obviously, your tipping thing, but stop throwing so many fastballs. Throw more sliders. Make your fastball play up. You'll be fine. Talk to Kittredge about that. He's the 8th inning guy. He'll teach you that. He throws a lot of sliders. I like him a lot. He looks like a drunk guy throwing at the amusement park, but he gets it done. Aiken's got a sneaky fastball. Cano's sort of started to fall off, but I like that he's not down at the back end as much. And then, these guys at the bottom, like Tyler Wells has some good stuff. Not a great bullpen overall. This is sort of where you have to kind of cut it up a little bit between these teams. Their pitching staff is not as good as the top 3 teams, and that's why I can't put them as high as those 3. But I think the offense is right there. And I think this is a great comment here by Joao Doval. They should have paid Framber. I think if you put Framber in the rotation, you get Framber and Bassett, then you got a Framber, Rogers, Bradish, Bassett, Boz. Now you're talking. I do think in this division, Eflin and Kremer could get smacked around a little bit. But I love the offense, and they're going to be a contender. I just think they come up a little short with the pitching. We got a question here. Would you rather have Bassett or Cease? So it's not apples to apples because Bassett was only looking for a 2-year deal at this point where Cease is looking for 7. That's why, for my money, I'd rather sign Bassett under this circumstance. It's less money per year, and it's less overall commitment, and I feel pretty reasonably sure that in the next year or 2, he's going to contribute a lot, at least regular season. Cease obviously has the much higher upside, so apples to apples comparison, Cease is the better pitcher at the moment, but again, I'm not paying him 7 years, 210 or whatever it is, so that's my answer to that. Why not Giolito? There's not really a reason why not Giolito, and I'm starting to get a little annoyed that nobody's ponied up for Giolito yet because I know he's not a StatCast darling, but he's solid. He pitches. He's a dog in a way, and he was pretty good last year. A lot of teams could use a Lucas Giolito, and it's just frankly weird that he hasn't gotten a representative offer yet to sign. Okay, pick to go off relative to expectations, and person to take a step back. Oh gosh. I mean, it's easy to pick Gunnar or Rushman now that they've struggled a little bit. Not been peak a little bit. I was all ready to say Jackson Holiday was going to break out this year, but he's got the hamate thing, so who the fuck knows? What do we know about Kobe Mayo? Do we know a lot about Kobe Mayo? Because I've heard good things about this guy, but it feels like we've stopped talking about him a little bit. Let's look at his minor league stats. So it was the hype was based off of who he was in 2023 and 2024. I mean, 2023 season between AA and AAA put up a 974 OPS. And then 2024 season, 926 in AAA and overall 964. So he was murdering it. But then you look at last year, only a 770 in Norfolk. So that's a little bit concerning. And then a 687 in the big. So last year's a little bit of a lost season. And we got some info here from Zach McCown. I was curious to actually look at Kobe Mayo on this prospect thing here. Prospect Savant. Kobe Mayo. All right, so obviously all the, batted ball data looks good. Too many strikeouts. I guess too many strikeouts. Struggles versus breaking balls. Really good fastball hitter. So guess what he's going to see in the big leagues? A lot of breaking balls. When I watched him in the past, it did seem like he was trying to pull everything. I mean, maybe it could be an approach big thing, but you can see that the physical stuff's pretty good in there. So that's interesting. Can we say most of the team who may struggle? I can see Baltimore causing problems for other ALES teams like last year, but I see them struggling against the rest of the league at times. I looked up Bautista. He doesn't do back until August 26th. That could have some addition to him for the end of the season. I just don't even want to speculate on the mountain yet, Bautista, because I don't know. He's like in that Betances category where he's like either perfectly on and it's deadly, or he's going to be just like not throwing strikes and stuff. So, like, I've been that guy at times. So I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. I don't have a lot of hope for him yet. I'm kind of in a wait and see mode for him if he comes back. All right. Who am I picking to take the step forward relative to expectations? Yeah, I think Pete's gonna be ridiculously good. I guess maybe I'll pick Helsley now. I know he's still getting paid a lot, and there's probably some expectations there. But I'm going to pick Helsley. I think last year was such an outlier. The combo of the tipping and just the really dumb pitch usage at times. He's got to learn from that, right? He's too good. He's too good. I mean, look, 245, 204 the previous years. He was a perennial all-star, basically like a lock. One of the best closers in the game. Throws 100 up to 102. The stuff's there. Even in a insane year with horrible luck, like it wasn't even a 5 ERA. I just think he needs to flip his usage even heavier into slider. I want to see him over 50% slider this next year and be a little better with his location of his fastballs. But stuff-wise, I mean, in terms of stuff plus, I think he's like up there, like top 2 or 3 in all of baseball by Eno's metrics. So I'm going to pick Helsley. In terms of taking the step back, I'm going to pick Trevor Rogers because like he was too good to be true last year. So he's listed as the ace here. And there's just no way he's a better pitcher than Bradish, right? I mean, his numbers were simply ridiculous. 1.81 ERA in 18 starts and a .90 whip. It's hard to live up to that. Obviously, he's got a big pedigree, but he had taken a step back, and now he takes a step forward. If his velocity's there, that will help. That seems to be a big thing. But yeah, I mean, even xERA says he should have had a 3.41 last year instead of a 1.81. So obviously he was doing a lot of things well, but he also succeeded despite a third percentile hard hit rate. So he's a pretty easy pick. I'll pick him to take a little bit of a step back. And we'll just go ahead and move on. He is not the brother. That's the other Rogers who's with the Twins again now. I don't remember all their names. But whatevs. All right, on to the last team, which is the Rays, who are projected at 500. So literally the last team in this division to project, the team projected last is still a 500 team, and they have a very interesting. They have an interesting squad, as they always do. Kevin Cash, one of the best managers in the game, in my opinion. Obviously, this organization's been finding a way to be competitive for a really freaking long time. They're back in the Trop. Thank God. So then they can do weird Trop stuff. But, yeah, I mean, they're projected to finish last, but that does not mean this team won't be feisty. Gavin Lux, Yandy Diaz, one of my favorites, Aranda, who broke out last year, Caminero, who's a bona fide superstar, Mullins, who definitely needed a reset after his Mets run-in, Fraley, has never been with anybody but the Reds, so that'll be interesting. Taylor Walls, defensive stud. Chandler Simpson, fastest man ever, with a really weird profile. And then their catcher duo is Fortes and Fiducia, so it's like a righty-lefty. It's very standard Rays. They're going to run their platoon splits all day long. Ben Williamson, who they got in a trade from Seattle. Johnny DeLuca, who used to be a Dodger. Justin Henry Malloy. So they're going to do their usual platooning outside of the Junior Caminero, Yandy Diaz, and potentially Aranda categories. But it's a tough team to pitch to. They got speed. They got contact. They have some interesting hitters that buck the modern trends, like Yandy Diaz. This guy is just huge ground ball rate, but huge batting average guy, yet still puts up big OPSs, dominates the opposite field. just a tough guy to pitch to, one of the strongest guys ever. And just the fact that his game is like line drives to the opposite field, it really works for him in the modern game where everybody else is trying to pull everything. So you're used to facing pull happy guys, and then you have to face this guy, and it's almost like you don't know what to do. And that's why he's one of my favorite players in the game. I wish more players would take Yandy's approach. I guess it takes a special team to a special player to actually execute this approach, but he is so special at the plate. I mean, you look at 2 of the last 3 years, tremendous years, power, average, on base, you name it. Great freaking player. Love me some Yandy Diaz. Like literally one of my favorite players. Aranda was also good. And then Junior Caminero, who, I mean, what can you say about this guy? He's a bona fide superstar. He's making them forget about the Wander Franco situation a little bit. 45 home runs last year? Are you friggin' kidding me? So that combination of Yandy and Caminero with Aranda in the middle, like that's sneaky elite. I don't think the rest of their lineup is elite, but they're going to mix and match it, and they might get to an elite level with their level of platoon splitting. But look at Junior Caminero. Like we've talked a lot about him on the stream over the year. He does way too much with his load to be as good as he is and to make as much contact as he does. But it works for him. 100th percentile bat speed. When he hits one, he freaking hits one, and it's just different. And I can't wait to keep watching it. He's only 22 years old or something like that. So maybe it's unrealistic to see him with how much movement he has in his swing to like always hit 40 home runs. But we've seen that he can do it at 22 years old, and the sky's the limit. Excited to watch him in the WBC. I think he's got a case to hit in the middle of the order for the Dominican team. So that's pretty incredible. All right, that's the lineup. Here is the rotation. So obviously this is very much health dependent, but this is a much better rotation than the Orioles have. Rasmussen, love him. Pepio, really love him. McClanahan, used to be obsessed with him. We just haven't seen him in a while. Nick Martinez and Steve Matz, both guys have kind of been through it all. Bullpen starting. I think they'll be solid contributors. But, Rasmussen, McClanahan, keep those guys on the field. That raises the ceiling of this team so much. Nobody likes to hit off Shane McClanahan. And Rasmussen, the teams that I've been on, he has dominated always. So, especially back in the Trop where your pitch stuff is so consistent and your metrics are so great and you can't see shit and the mound feels high, this team's going to dominate on the mound if these guys stay healthy. So, huge fan of what they did in this rotation. This rotation competes with the big 3 ones in this division. Might not have quite the same level of certainty and depth, but it's very freaking good. Okay, bullpen. Uceta, who I think has slowed down a little bit. I saw he had to bounce out of the WBC. I've always liked his gunslinging approach, and he found success big time with the Rays last year, which many pitchers have done in small samples, of course, over the years. Griffin Jax, I'm surprised they haven't converted him yet to starter. He's one of my favorite relievers. He's awesome. In the Trop, he's going to be a joke. Clevenger as well has got great stuff. And then this is what they do with the rest of it. They're going to have a lot of options. They're going to move guys around. Snyder is one of the best pitching coaches in the game. Again, the Cavan Cash and what's Snyder's first name? Snyder combination is tried and true. This is a team nobody likes to play. It's sleepy in the Trop unless it's a Yankee or Red Sox game. They're an interesting team, and they're a thorn in everybody's side. I ultimately do think they fall short of the postseason this year, but Kyle Snyder, thanks Zach Brody, Z Brody, Kyle Snyder. I should have had that. They also have a guy named Jay Boog, or Jay Money, or somebody like that, who's one of like the best analytics guys in the game, or I guess is in the dugout all the time, and apparently he's the one who really knows everything. So they're interesting to see. They're going to be interesting to watch. Ooh, the Stork. Yeah, he does have that weird gait to him and neck and everything. And they are back in the Trop. How did the Trop affect my pitches? So, like, metrically, I had good stuff at the Trop. I did not have a lot of success at the Trop. I don't know. I need a little more adrenaline. I also just felt like the mound felt off center, if that makes sense. And maybe because it felt higher and the grade on it was a little different than other places, it threw my delivery off a little bit. But most guys love it. If you're a north-south guy at the Trop, game over. Nick Pavetta at the Trop, dominant. North-south guy when I was with the Red Sox. He was like kind of the Tampa Bay whisperer. My wife just texted me, so I have to text her back. All right. They also picked up a couple other people recently. There was a big pickup from the Astros. Carson Williams is a top prospect, shortstop, defensive guy. We don't know about the hitting yet. Oh yeah, Glasnow was insane in the Trop too. Rasmussen's insane. I mean, it's just they're really good. Jacob Melton. Jacob Melton is who I was thinking of. Jacob Melton's a guy who you would think they'd give some run. He was a guy that the Astros seem to have been high on him. But now, he's over here with the Rays, so he'll get the Rays treatment. Richie Palacios is a contributor to this team, plays a bunch of positions, went to my high school, so I'm always rooting for him. Victor Mesa Jr. was a guy from the Marlins who had hype originally. And look, I don't know a ton about a lot of these guys, but it's the Rays, man. The Rays are going to raise. We got some prospects. They're in the Trop. They're going to be annoying. I think they fall a little bit short. But overall, they're still going to be pretty damn competitive. All right, who is going to take the step forward on this squad? I'm not picking Gavin Lux. I mean, the expectations couldn't be any lower for Cedric Mullins, so I could see him doing better. Chandler Simpson's an interesting one. I saw a question in the chat a minute ago about Simpson. He's got simply one of the weirdest profiles you're ever going to witness on Baseball Savant. Look at the offensive profile, man. 98th percentile X batting average, 98th percentile whiff, 90th percentile K, and then basically first percentile everything else. He's also 97th percentile sprint speed, yet -5 run value, 11th percentile defender, which makes no sense. It's like, get Kevin Kiermaier with him. And it's just going to get harder in the Trop where you can't see fly balls and you got catwalks and all sorts of stuff. So if he could make himself a good defender, which you would think he'd be able to with his speed, he'd be a very interesting and useful player. But he's going to hit no home runs. And it's going to be a all batting average type of approach. So he's a fascinating player, and I'm rooting for him because he's interesting. I'm probably not picking him for either of these. All right, so I think step forward, I'm going to pick Ryan Pepio. Ryan Pepio has been trending towards, getting close to ace status or close to it. He was a former Dodger. I thought he was pretty quality last year. Look at the numbers, 386 and 167 and 2/3. That's a good workload, only a 116 whip. I like his pitch mix. If he gets, all he really has to do, in my opinion, is get his count leverage a little better. A little too much walk. But I'm going to pick Pepio. He's got a nice mix. He's got good stuff. He throws plenty hard enough. He'll be in the Trop. That should help him. I am going to pick Ryan Pepio to take a step forward. As for the step backward, it's probably easy to pick Caminero just because 45 home runs, probably expecting even better, and that's unfair. But I'm not going to pick him. I guess I would have to pick one of the other pitchers, maybe a Rasmussen or McClanahan. And not that I don't love them. I think they're unbelievable. But, just with the injury risk, I could see maybe that, go in the wrong direction. So I'll land on one of those and not really go into too much detail there. And that is my AL East. That's pretty much it, 5 really competitive teams. Four, I mean, really every team has their sights on this division. I do think that the Yankees, Jays, and Red Sox are the class of it. I think these other two teams will be tough to face, but not everybody can win 90 games. I think that's a little bit unfair to ask for. I am going to project the Yankees to win the division. I think overall they have the strongest regular season roster, but it's going to be awfully close between them and the Jays and the Red Sox. This is the best division in baseball, and I look forward to watching a lot of baseball games between these teams. So, yeah, that's about it for the AL East. Let me get in the chat a little bit, and then we'll go kick around some spring games that we have video on. And that's what we'll do for the rest of the night. Ooh, my wife checking in. Hey, babe, love you. The Rays step back would be their spending. That's crazy. And KK is now working with the Rays. I saw that. Yeah. He's with them now. I mean, his pet project's going to be Chandler. So that'll be intriguing to watch how that all kind of plays out. If KK can impact them while not playing. Oh, I love you, kid. Love you. I sent Brady Hopkins stuff in the Discord. It's actually insane. Brody Hopkins? Brody Hopkins. Is he a prospect? Yes, he is a prospect. Okay. You know what? I think I'm in the hitters section. You know, he's not in here. Where are my top prospects? Brody Hopkins. So he was in Double-A last year starting. Struck out 141, 116 innings. Did walk 60. 204 average. 272 ERA. Let's watch a little video on him because I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see what it looks like. Brody Hopkins looks like a harder throwing Joe Ryan. Interesting. Tell me what you think about his mechanics. I think his arm's late and balance on off speed. Pick a team to take the division, if not Jays or Yankees. I mean, obviously, I have to pick the Red Sox in that circumstance based off how I feel about it. Yeah, this is a good point. Shout out to Spectre for dropping that. Please subscribe. Please like the stream. Join the Discord. Join the Discord. Join our cast of characters here. All right, let's watch him for a sec. Ooh, very interesting leg droppage on his delivery. Arm is definitely late. It's a little bit of a weird arm action. Not that that can't work, but he's getting on top of the ball pretty well as well. Ooh, fastball looks good. Man, good depth on that breaking ball. It looks like it's a harder curveball. Where's TJ Stats when you need him? Unfortunately, he was in Double-A, so we're not going to have any data on him. I know he just... so I'm wasting my time here. But I know that he did pitch in a big league spring game recently. Is there a way I can figure that out? Let's see here. Maybe he pitched in this game. Nope. No. Maybe in this game. Yeah, he started this game. Rays versus Orioles. All right, what was the player breakdown on Mr. Hopkins? Ooh, buddy. 21 vert on his fastball. 21 and 6. That's a super freaking heater with 2,500 spin. Cutter. 5 and 4. Slider. Sweeper 1 and 15. Changeup 5 and 18. And then his slider. This is the one I was talking about. It looked like a hard curveball or something. Negative 12 and 7 at 85.5. Was there video of this game? This was Orioles Rays. Let's see. Probably not, because I doubt either of these teams televised this game, but let's see. So this is one of their top prospects. Hopefully we get and watch him play. Yay, we can watch him play. All right. So that was 22 vert on that first pitch to Gunnar. This is a 5.3 release height. So that's one thing that's intriguing me. He's definitely a little more over the top, but the way that he gets low, first of all, he's falling every pitch, which is crazy. But, okay, this move right here, he goes up to down, and he's very bendy, huge hip-shoulder separation here. Allows him to get to a below-average release height, and you combine that with a 20-inch vert, that fastball is going to play crazy. But also, he's falling every pitch, which is weird. All right, here's that weird cutter thing. All right, so base hit there for Gunnar. Now he's going to punch out Taylor Ward. The fastball might be one of the craziest ones ever. Wow, negative 3.7 VAA in that start. For those of you that don't know, VAA is vertical approach angle, and the lower the number, the more flat it appears coming in. The higher the number, the more steep. So when you're throwing four-seam fastballs at the top of the zone, you want a very flat number. Anything under 4 degrees is absurdly flat. So he's at 3.7. That's very encouraging and laughable. That's why I giggled a little bit. Man, look at that heater. So he's created a way to get lower but still maintain his hand directly behind the ball to force that fastball up. That's what he's doing. And it's going to make his fastball a very impressive pitch. I mean, yeah, Taylor Ward's nowhere near that. He got absolutely doors blown off. All right, let's watch him versus Pete. So far, the fastball is the impressive thing. Pete's late on the first one. Here comes the slider. Ooh, good pick by the catcher, but Gunner's in there. There's another fastball. I mean, it's one game, and I've barely watched him, but he's effectively wild. He's not throwing the ball where he wants to at all right now. It's just he's got some stuff. Ooh, Pete almost clipped him there, but the fastball just got enough on him for a 92-7 flyout. Then here's a walk to Tyler O'Neill. We won't need to watch all of this, but let's see the 3-2 pitch. Damn, no challenge on that, but I bet it's low. Oh, yeah, that's super low. Good try, though. So O'Neill walks, and then Rushman, I'll just fast forward to the final event, is going to get out on a cutter. I will say the four-seam is... Oh, look at Trey Morgan. What a good look on Trey, former LSU guy. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that salad out of the hat. He's got the white dyed fro hair going on. That is fire. Fire, 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 fire. So, anyway, this was pretty obvious. He has almost zero command at the moment. Give him some time, gain more command. He could be impressive. The fastball is impressive. I don't have a stuff grade on it, but if once he gets to the big leagues, Robert Stock will have it, and I bet it will be very high. Very high. All right, so we're done with the AL East. I've already kind of mentioned all of that. That was fun, taking a gander at those guys. Let me go parse through the games today and see which direction we want to go. I'm going to look on my phone because it's just a little easier for me, and then we can jump right in. All right, let's see here. So let me go to my MLB app, and we'll look through a little bit. If you guys have any anything really fun to look at, don't be shy. Okay, Yankees Twins. We got to watch the Spencer Jones home run from Yankees Twins today, because again, I was mentioning that I wanted to talk about his load. He continues to be impressive. He continues to hit balls out of sight. And it makes me intrigued by him a lot. So let's watch his 3 at-bats here. We're going to watch them all because I also need to highlight a little bit of what he does poorly. Teams are going to try to attack him with fastballs up a lot. All right, curveball fouled off. Curveball again. Oof. You know, a lot of people would look at these takes and they would say, you see, like, his swing's out of control, but I don't mind a yes, 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 no take. You know, I think that's intriguing. Yes, 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 no. Four seam up, huge hack and a miss. So this is kind of like what we were expecting to see, is him to not be able to cover. This is actually a little too high to swing at. This is probably a ball. But massive hack. And then he's going to walk here. Just poor command by the pitcher. Second at bat, he's going to ground out. This is versus Cole Sands. This is one of their big league relievers. First pitch split, taken. And then another split. Got him reaching a little bit. Good pitch there by Sands. And this might have been a little bit of a chase. Pretty close. And then he's going to homer in this third at bat off of Raul Brito. Four seam ball. Two pulled fastballs in a row, not great for Mr. Brito. Little drops in the deuce, coming back with it. Another big swing and miss. I mean, this guy does not get cheated. He swings hard, man. Curveball pulled foul. And another curveball because he couldn't throw a strike with his four seam, and he thought he could get him to chase down. But this time he misses in the zone, and this time he touches it. And I really think Spencer Jones is like, if I touch it, it's an extra base hit type of guy. 107.5 at 25, 427. Now, it's a little weird to me that he starts open and then kind of puts the foot back in and digs it into this toe tap position a la Ohtani. But he does get there. Like, he's in a very, very nicely loaded position here where his foot's down so early, so that gives him time to just relax at the plate and not have to rush anything. He can see the ball and take a hack when he needs it. And obviously the power is prodigious. So the whole thing with him is just contact rates and plate discipline and stuff like that because the physical tools are there. So there's a nice home run from Spencer Jones. Let's watch George Lombard's at-bat since we're here. This guy is the big hyped prospect for the Yankees. Shortstop, third base type prospect. He's probably the guy that if they were to give him up, they could get something right now. But he's looked tremendous on defense. You know, at the plate, he shows signs. I'm trying to get used to this setup. I'm trying to think where I've seen that ball was rocketed. 103.3, swinging on a 3-0 count. So already getting indoctrinated into the Yankee way of doing things. When you have an opportunity to swing big and do damage, you take the shot. Pretty good swing. You know, I'm looking at it, and there's a little bit of a J.D. Martinez look to it. Obviously, I'd have to watch it a little bit more. Let's watch the fly out. I like some of these comments. Ohtani, not a bad guy to imitate. True. Lombard is the new Volpe. Well, we'll see. Him and his brother's going to be a very high draft pick this year, I believe, in the draft out of high school. You know, his dad, I'm not sure which team he's with now, but he's been a major league coach forever. So they're very dialed in, and then he ends up walking, 4-pitch walk versus Brito, so we don't need to watch that. So this is all today. Who pitched for the Yankees today? Was there anybody interesting that pitched? Oh, LaGrange. Woo. Heel pitched, only 1 strikeout. That's a little bit of a concern. What was the box score on Heel in this game? He went 2 1/3, 1 K, 1 home run. He did get clipped by Larnach, so let's watch that real quick. The big thing with Luis Heel last year was his whiff really went down. Ooh, Larnach got him good right there. Good swing. How hard was that? 109.4. Really nice pass at that one. But, you know, for Yankees fans, like, I think that Heel is they need to get him right, but he can't have as little whiff as he had last year. That was very concerning. All right, let's go to LaGrange. So this is a guy who will speed watch his outing. This is a guy who burst onto the scene last year. This is a 95-mile-an-hour changeup. Oh, see you later. Dirty. So this is a 3-pitch punchy. So this is his first batter. Let's watch it. Sweeper, -20 at 85. That's elite. Fastball, 101.2 with 17 inches of vert. Elite. And then changeup. So he gave him the special there. He saw all 3 pitches and made a really good major league hitter look bad. Wow. All right. Here is a single on a bunt. A 2-2 bunt? Swinging bunt. Oof. Yeah, you can kind of see it. So this guy's 6'8". He's an absolute monster. LaGrange, he's not like the others, right? Most guys with this type of body type have a hard time throwing strikes, have a hard time fielding a position, have a hard time doing fundamental stuff. Hard time being a starter. This is one thing that could hold him back is maybe defense. As you see, he's definitely has a hard time regulating his speed of his throw to first, and there's a little bit of a discomfort here, but I'm not going to totally judge him off one play. It's just something I've seen in the past. All right, Austin Martin. Going to get him out with a 4-seam at 100. Little slide step 100. How's that sound? Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Nice play at short. Now, was this is Lombard? This is absurd play if this is Lombard. Look at how quickly he got away with that. Used the bounce throw. Nice pick over there by Benny. All right. Gio Urshela, former teammate of mine. Going to get him out with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. So just living at 100 with really good off speed. Oh, yeah, that is Lombard. Nice little backup there. Good play. Who knows about the pitchability yet? He did have too many walks in the minors last year, but, I mean, the stuff is a joke. There's no way this guy is not going to impact the Yankees if he stays healthy at some point this season. He's definitely further ahead of where they thought Schlittler was at before they got into the season last year. And so that gives me pretty good hope. Looks like this was a bad rep on a sweeper. Yeah, first pitch sweeper, kind of a bad rep. And then he's going to punch out Larnach on a sweeper looking backdoor. His camera angles stink, but... Ooh, he didn't want to challenge that? It could have been in there. Anyway, punches him out looking with a sweeper. Here's Keishel. Gonna fly out on a 98.5. But you'll see it's interesting. Like sweepers right around 80, changeups in the 90, low 90s, and the fastball's at 100. Which is just a pretty deadly combination of speed. Here's 101.5 for the punch out here. Dude, this is just straight up gas. So he's better just to go get him sprayed on. Yeah, no swing and a miss strikeout. Wow. Nasty. He reminds me a little bit of Betances, but like more under control. Wow. This is 102. See you later. And then he'll finish his outing with a pop-up from Brooks Lee. So pretty impressive stuff from this guy. I'm curious to watch how long they can keep him out of the big leagues, even with the staff they have. Because this is premium physical stuff, and his changeup's his best pitch. So that was LaGrange. All right, that's enough for this game. Let me go through my box scores here. Pirates, Orioles. Shane Baz did pitch in this game. Struck out 4. Don't know if we'll have video or not of this. I'm looking at the box here. Do a lot of sweepers up in the zone, above the zone. You know, not a bad thing always with sweepers, especially right on right. They play pretty good up in the zone. Okay, no video for this game. Just looking at the box though, Boz 4Ks and 2 1/3. Nothing else really of note there for the Pirates. Keller pitched well, 2 1/3, 4Ks, nothing else. Okay, we'll move on from that. Metros, Freddie Peralta. Did that game feature television? Freddie P, 3 innings, perfect innings. In his Mets debut, Devin Williams did get a clip for a home run. I think it was Weatherholt. I'm going to try. I don't think we're going to get this game, but oftentimes there are Mets-Cardinals games televised, so let's see. Yeah, we got it. We got it from the center field cam, which is great. So it's just a first pitch cutter. Interesting, off Devin. This is the pitch that he's working on. We all know he's fastball, and he's basically fastball sweeper. And J.J. Weatherholt, 105.4 at 31 for a home run. This is a front runner in a lot of people's minds for Rookie of the Year this year. I do like the way he has his hands preset back. That's pretty cool to watch. But we have the video, so this is awesome. So we can watch a little bit of some of these other guys at bats. We can watch the Carson Benj at bats. We can watch We can watch a little bit of Freddie P. That was also Weatherholt, correct? Yeah, so this is actually, it's so funny because the pitch was a little bit more out over off of Devin Williams. This pitch is a little more in. Freddie gets the pop out. Here's Jose Fermin. Strikes him out with that fastball. Peralta's fastball is so sneaky and so deceptive. And then he's going to get Nolan Gorman out with a curveball. Ooh, it's going to be a little play by our shortstop there, Mr. Ewing, I believe that is. Who is that? No, Clough. I don't know who that is. All right, second inning, Nelson Velasquez. Kind of a weird contact there. Ramon Urias. See, this is what teams should do. When they have a center field cam, even if the game's not broadcast, they should give it to me on the iPad so I can watch it. Jams him. Here's Sajis. This is going to be my teammate here in about 2 days. Rolls over on a right-on-right changeup. Freddie P does have a very good changeup. Look at that, 3.7 vert. 16.3 horizontal. It's a good pitch off that 18 vert fastball. Big separation. Really good ability to sell it like a fastball. Knows how to utilize it. That's a nice pitch. Pedro Pajes. Going to get him with the slider. This is the gyro slider. Little rollover. Nice location. Excellent location. Nathan Church. Going to punch him with a changeup. Let's watch it. Not great execution, but gets the out. And then Blaze Jordan. They challenged that. And the call was confirmed. So Blaze Jordan thought he was going to get away with a pitch there, but that's a Stiha. Also, watch Freddie do a little bit of a timing thing right here. Almost like a little bit of a Kershaw action, so having a little fun with it. As he closes out his outing, he was announced as the opening day starter for the Mets, so going to be cool to watch him and see what he can do for the Mets. Let's watch these Carson Benj at-bats because he's competing for the right field spot. Ooh, Quinn Matthews on the mound. This is a guy who lost his command crazy last year for the Birds, but the year before was basically the minor league pitcher of the year in the minors. So I've been curious to watch this guy. This is an interesting matchup, Benj and Matthews. Really quick, got some stuff in the chat here before I do it. Weatherholt, when does he get called up? I think they have actually some incentive to maybe make him make the team. I don't know if he will or not, but again, you get a reward if you get up within the first 10 games of the season and stay the rest of the way. There's draft picks to be gained, so that'll be interesting. We actually watched Kendry Rojas recently with the Twins, and he looked freaking fantastic. He was 96-99 in the game we watched him on the last stream or 2 streams ago with a great changeup, little slider, looked really good against the Braves. I was very impressed with Kendry Rojas when we saw him. Yeah, we watched him. He's on the stream. You'll see it. I think it's either the last stream or 2 streams ago. We haven't. I don't think McLean's stream was on video yet, so I know he pitched well, but we'll see. How's WBC stuff coming along? Well, I threw my last pen today. I was like, 86, 87, which means put a batter in there and some adrenaline. I should be at 90, so we're fine. We got there. I think we made it. I think we did it. I think we did enough for the 40-year-old man. Yeah, McLean versus Amai, but no coverage. I was excited for that, but it didn't work. All right, Quinn Matthews versus Benj. So he ends up hitting him. I mentioned his command has kind of lost him. And he just smokes him right in the back with 93-3. Bro, it's spring training. Come on, bro. You can see he gives a little bit like, my bad. All right, next time is Matthews versus Benj again. So that's 95 out of a pretty high tempo delivery, slightly above average ride. There's the slider. It's a tough matchup left on left. It's encouraging to watch Benj get these at-bats. Slider again. Easy take, and then he's going to punch him on a fastball. So one thing I've been thinking about Benj a little bit, this guy's clearly a thoroughbred. Like, I think he's going to end up being good. But I think that this move that he has, like watch the movement in the swing, it's a little much, and he's going to get beat by velocity up away at times. So it's something to watch. Will he simplify things, or will he continue to ride with who he is? It's going to be intriguing to check that out over time. All right, third at-bat, he's going to get a hit. Another lefty, Justin Bruheel, former Dodger, taking all the way on the first pitch sweeper. Now here's a sinker. Good pitch. Chopped it foul. Another good pitch, but maybe a touch low, no challenge, and then a sweeper he's going to get a hit on. So one thing that his large move did here was it allowed him to kind of delay his swing a little bit. You see he rides this ball out pretty nice. Not a great contact. What's he hit this? 92 on the ground, nothing special. Dribbles it up the middle, no high home. I was hoping for a high home. Bruheel's a former Blue Jay, not Dodger? I thought he was. All right, so those are the Benj at-bats. Ewing's another prospect. Maybe we'll watch AJ Ewing real quick. It's a little ground ball through the 4-hole. Here's a home run off Tink Hence. This is a big prospect for the Cardinals on the pitching side. Known for a pretty good off-speed game. He's going to get clipped on a fastball here. Wow, Oppo Taco, 105.9. That's an impressive poke. 400 feet in Roger Dean Stadium, and I tell you, this was my home field in High A. Not a good place to hit. Great place to pitch. Big time poke there from AJ Ewing. Intriguing, and then he walks his last at bat. So I saw he's kind of creeped into the top 5 or 6 on the Mets prospect list. So that's interesting. And that's it for this game. Nothing great there. Yeah, it was Tink Hence who gave up that home run right there. There was a question in here. Do I think the lack of command, command is a product of trying to throw too hard? In some cases, but believe it or not, I think sometimes guys have better command when they have more full intent. And actually, when they dial it back, they lack the proprioception to do so. Sometimes command is such honestly, command and control. As much as people want to pin it on mechanics, a lot of it is that brain-hand connection. And for me, at least, it was how long I could stay engaged in my target. If I could stay engaged in my target in my lane beyond the release of the pitch, I tended to make a pretty good pitch and have a pretty clean rep. Sometimes you would get to the moment of truth and you're here, and then you're kind of gone, and it's not as good. So I don't know. It's different for everybody. Everybody has a different experience out there. But throwing hard is not always the culprit. I would say that. Not always the culprit. All right, hold on. Yeah, I knew we played on the Dodgers. I know, guys, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. Blue Jays, Rays. This game was televised, but do we get any fireworks? I see Lauer pitch. Didn't go well. Apparently Lauer wants to be traded. Okay. Rays, Pepio. Nothing really to notice on there. There was a home run for Ryan Mullins in this game. Maybe we should see that. Blue Jays, Rays. See if I can pull that up. I'm just going and going and going tonight because I don't really have much else going on. All right. That's ridiculous. They have the highlight. They have the highlight on baseball here, but yet you can't. It's a side highlight. That's why. Tigers, Phillies. This game was not televised, so who cares? Braves, Red Sox. A lot happened in this game. Sale pitched, gave up a bunch of home runs. All right, or something. Let's go to Braves, Red Sox. Where was Sale's outing? So Sale versus Roman. Let's watch Sale versus Roman. This is a fun little matchup. 94-6. Man, Chris feeling good early on. Good pitch, chops it foul. Slider. It's amazing how his slider is so slow and so effective. This is 77 miles an hour, this slider. I was throwing 77-mile-an-hour sliders today. And then he punches him with 97.5. Chris is feeling froggy. Are you shitting me? I thought maybe he would be cruising into it. Not the case. He's such a freak. All right, let's watch him. What does he get Rafaela with? Slider. Little backdoor slider. Beautiful. And then Jaron Duran clips him. Interesting. All right, first pitch changeup. Swing and miss. Left on left, first pitch changeup. Do you see the look right there? Oh, this was funny. Sale's giving him a look too. So these guys were teammates, obviously, right? I was there when Duran got called up in 21. Sailor was there with the Sox. Sailor's a great guy, great clubhouse guy. Definitely gave some ribbing to Duran over the years. So you see, he's already got a little bit of this is a fun matchup. That's why he starts him with a left-on-left changeup, which is frankly unfair. But what's crazy is Duran gets him on a homer right here. Kaboom! Sale does not get clipped on left homers often. And oh, did he sneak a peek? Oh, there's the peek at Sale right there. And it's all fun and games until you give up a home run. I did see that Sale signed for another year with the club option, which is fun. And great for him. Very, very dope. All right. What else? Ground out, walk, ground out, line out. Let's watch him face Roman a second time. First pitch slider taken all the way. Second pitch slider ball, and here comes the sinker. You know, this seems to be a little bit of an evolution for Chris, throwing more sinkers left on left. Man, Roman stayed through that enough to hit it 100. That was a good pitch off of two sweepers. This is a good pitch. This is a good swing. Well executed. Just hit it too hard to get it through. So, nice at bat Nice at bat there. For fun, I want to watch him face Duran one more time because I'm curious. Since he homered that first time, what he does the second time. Slider strike. And now sinker. And it's a good sinker at that. Negative 19.3 and 2.2 vert. Chews him up. Also pretty cool that Sale went right back to the slider, even though he got to give up a home run on it to him before. Let's watch the Rafaela home run off Sale. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh, changeup. Probably hangs it. Ooh, does hang it. And the ball absolutely flies in this place. The new Braves spring training has a straight jet stream out to right center. So 1015, and it was kind of a no-doubter. Tells you a little bit there, but really good swing by Sadon staying on this changeup. So it looks like both of the runs Chris gives up, well, all the runs he gives up come on home runs. So interesting there. Suarez, one of his first outings for the Bravos. Now that he's there, after a good run with the Padres. Throwing 100 in camp.
1-2 from Suarez.
See you later. Nasty. I don't think he was sitting. I think that was just how good he is that he was able to react on that and still stay inside it and get it up the middle. Obviously not looking for the slider, though, because he didn't pass at either of those first two. And that first one was a pretty good one if he wanted to pass at it, and he didn't. I saw Iglesias got clipped by Marcelo Meyer, so let's watch this whole at-bat. Iglesias, I've talked about a lot. One of the pitchers I was most jealous of in my career. Felt like if I could have been a little better, I could have been as good as him. But he's so freaking good. I love how he works fast. I love his pitchability. Really good changeup. Great take there by Marcelo. Back-to-back changeup takes. Sets himself up for a fastball. And you know what? This is just a bad pitch choice. Sinker after two changeups with good takes on him. And this pitch is not going to have as much vertical separation as if he went to the 4. On top of that, he just pulls it into the happy zone. You see the target. I don't know if this is Murphy or not, but you see the target. He's way over here. Are we alive? Are we alive, Penn? Yeah, we're alive. Murphy's way over here. And then look where the ball ends up. Just kind of pulls it right into his bat path. And then the ball goes that way. So I love Rafael Iglesias, but he pulls it. And honestly, it's the two takes. It was the two takes by Marcelo that got him into that count to do the damage. So it's not always about one pitch or another pitch. It's about a sequence of good swing decisions that leads you to getting the pitch you need to drive. So that was interesting. Who pitched for the Sox? Bayo. He got crushed, right? So here's a home run by Yaz on a cutter. This is not a good cutter. Really bad metric. Threw it right down the middle. See you later. Major cookie right there. 100%. And then it got a little ugly, right? Walk, sac fly, pop out, homer, call strike, ground out, single, the last three batters. And then Acuna did go granny in this game, so I'll just skip over to the Acuna granny. Poor guy came in trying to mop up this inning and had to face Ronald Acuna Jr., and it did not go well. Cutter down. Good take. 3-0 to Acuna. Not a good place to be. This reminds me of Walker Buehler in the postseason a couple years ago. 3-0 count. Wow. He throws those hands fast. That pitch is maybe a ball. In off the plate. Ooh, there's Antoine Richardson, new first base coach. Love that. 102.5 at 39, but that's plenty. I mentioned he kind of got jammed on this, yet he still got to it. Most guys, if they have too much movement with their hands, they won't get to this. But look at that. That's one of the many reasons why he's special. Tremendous quickness to that ball. I know it's 3-0. You're anticipating a fastball, but still. Great swing.
with a grand slam.
Okay. I think that's it for this game. Ooh, Michael Harris, though. 2 for 3. Let's watch Harris. Let's watch Harris's contacts, his decision pitches, because I want to see if he maintained. Yeah, all right. So he went back to his old stance, which is what he should have done. I know that's what he did in the second half of last year. Kind of went back to who he is as a hitter, which thank God, because whatever he was doing was not working. Biggest thing with him is he just swings at everything too much. That's a little unfortunate for the pitcher. That might have been an out. That was only hit 72. And then he's going to double here. Is this off Zach Kelly? Yeah. Good swing. That's why you can't work lefties away with fastballs right on left, because they'll just smack you the other way. They're getting used to pitch out over their whole careers. And if you can't locate a fastball in the right spot there, and a guy just wants to make contact, there's a lot of room over there. So that was pretty nice. All right, I think I'm done watching this team. I don't really see anything else I want to look at. I did see, this is interesting. Is this Thomas White? This outing was from yesterday. Was this televised? I saw Snelling pitch today, and it did not go well. He's the one who had incredible numbers for the Marlins in the minors last year. We were interested to see. Okay, so it would have been yesterday. Marlins, who'd they play? Blue Jays. Let's see if we have that game. And that's Josh White. Here's Thomas White. All right. Do we have this video? Please tell me we have this video. We have this video. This is a pitcher I've been curious to watch for a long time, so this is good to watch. His numbers were absolutely obscene in the minors last year. 94.5. This is 96.8. So many strikeouts. Does have a walk issue. Owen Casey out there in left field, not making that play. Great swing left on left by Varsho there. Vlad's going to reach on an error here on a changeup. Honestly, he could have had 2 outs here and nobody on. Instead, he's going to have first and third, nobody out. So that kind of sucks. All right, Barger. He punches Barger. Let's see what he gets him with. Fastball. I mean, the ball just explodes out of this guy's hand with no effort. So that's impressive to watch. Then he walks Kirky. This has been the big knock on him in the minors is the walk rate. Wow, crazy. It's like a slurve, but doesn't finish that pitch. And then Okamoto gets him. Let's watch the whole at-bat with Oko. Oko's such a good hitter. Good take, man. But look at that ball exploding at the top. So you can see, even within a tough outing, that there's some interesting characteristics here. We'll continue to watch Thomas White as he as he goes. There's a nice 2-1 backdoor slider. Slider's the pitch he gets the most praise for. And then Oko's all over this fastball, huh? He's a good hitter, man. What a pro. I see this too, Evan O'Brien. I think you're right. He's got a little bit of a Andrew Haney approach in terms of the way his body kind of unwinds. But I will say it's not a bad place to be, because Haney's fastball is super sneaky at the top, and he doesn't have the stuff of this guy. So you add the stuff with the sneaky factor within the delivery, and it might be a crazy fastball. And then there's another. This is a fielder's choice from Ernie Clement.
With Kirk the runner at third, the infield's kind of more halfway than all the way in right now. A one-hopper to short. Oh boy, McAdoo's going to third.
Weird base running there all around. And then he'll finish his outing with a ground out from Jimenez. Slider's the pitch that everybody loves. A little chopper. So again, it could have went smooth. It didn't go smooth. We'll see. We'll see. Stearns was dumb ignoring Okamoto. I think a lot of people are gonna look bad for ignoring Okamoto personally. Very interesting player. Stowers versus Gosman. We could watch this at bat.
Ideally 35 to 40 pitches, hopefully 2 innings for Kevin Gosman today. As
2 fastballs.
Impressive numbers, an OPS over 900.
Ooh, he hit that ball hard. Nice swing. He's so short to the ball. Big fan of Kyle Stowers. Here's that Joe Mack everybody wanted me to watch yesterday. We couldn't get the video. We'll watch him getting a hit here.
And he pitched twice, a total of 7 1/3. He gave up 7 earned runs.
This guy just hits the ball hard.
As Mack lines
109 right there on that single. Good swing. He's got a little bit of that bat tilt over the top.
He pitched twice, a total of 7 1/3. He gave up
But
7
for a
earned
catcher,
runs.
he's looking like he could be an above-average offensive performer, which is interesting. Yeah, I saw this about Thomas White. Sweeper had 7 inches of depth, so it makes it sort of like a slurve. That's why I mentioned that right away. It's a little bit of a different shape, but I kind of like it because it's going to help him get below the zone with some guys and get that chase in that happy area. All right, I'm kind of hitting the wall, guys. 2 hours, 26 minutes in. I'm tired. Maybe I'll look at one more thing. Got a 2-homer game today from Manny Machado. Charlie Condon home run in the Rockies-Giants game. I don't really want to watch the collision. I heard they're all right. Glasnow made his spring debut. Mariners, Guardians. Let me look at the Dodger box score real quick. Oh, okay. Let's finish up with the Jonah Tong. All right. This is from the other day. This is worth looking at. I actually just watched a whole bunch of this. Who did he pitch against again? Was it the Cardinals? Yes. Okay. So Mets Cardinals from the other day. We'll watch Jonah Tong's outing, and then we'll call it a day because obviously this is a fascinating pitcher that we've been intrigued by for a while. So let's do that. Let's watch Mr. Jonah Tong. And I thought it was interesting when I've already seen this, so we'll just go through it. But he leaned heavily on the cutter, which is a new thing for him. And I shared in my Discord a little bit of a concern with the usage of the cutter. So I'm just going to lay that out here before we even get started. So his fastball, in terms of induced vertical break, would have been #1 in the big leagues last year. It would have averaged over 20. And it's special stuff. The combination of his above-average extension, given his height, the release height situation he has, and the ride of his fastball made his fastball very amazing in terms of the metric. So even here, you see the first one here to Weatherholt, 18.9 vert, 19 vert. It's elite, and that's not even his best bullet. At 94.6. So that's an elite pitch. So my whole thing is, and you're going to see some cutters as they creep in here, how much separation is the cutter? Like, will the cutter have actual different action than that four seam, or will it start to mess with his four seam? So here's the first one we see. It's at 90.7, and the metric is 15 vert, 14.8, and right at the 0 line. So first of all, his four seam doesn't tend to average a lot of run as it is. I'm curious what it averaged last year overall. The four seam averaged only 3.2 inches of tail. So it's already in perceived cut territory. Now this pitch, this cutter, only was right at about 0. So it's only 3 more inches of difference in terms of horizontal movement. To me, that's not that significant. If it had like -3, it would be a bigger separation. But then on top of that, the vert, you know, it's above average vert for a cutter, but considering that his fastball has 20 vert on it, I just think this is a bad version of his fastball. It's less vert with like not way more cut to it. So already I'm a little bit down on this pitch. And I'm also just a little bit concerned that if he throws so many cutters, maybe he could mess with his four seam a little bit. And somebody asked me in the Discord why that is. why I feel that way, and I'll explain it if I can find a baseball here. Which I don't know why I don't have a baseball sitting here right now. I should. I usually do. We're gonna go way back into my way back into my archive of baseballs. I actually have all these balls over here. I've been meaning to do giveaways. I don't know how I'm gonna work that yet. Maybe it's like best comment of the night or whatever. I have a lot of autographed balls that I don't need that other people can have. Anyway, this is funny because this is like a Mother's Day ball, breast cancer awareness ball from one of the years. All right, so let me talk about what I'm talking about for a second. All right, so when you throw a four-seam fastball, you have to come through the ball pretty much directly behind it, and you have to spin it like this. Now, when you throw a cutter, there's a bunch of different grips you can use, but the general idea of the cutter is that it's sort of the same, but you're slightly supinated, right? And the very best cutters are very subtly supinated, the ones with the cut ride, the Kenley Jansens. So essentially, if you're here and all of a sudden you're getting this way, you're slightly cutting your ball, the way it would work is the ball is spinning, but as you can see, it's oriented slightly different, so that creates a little bit of that cut action to it. My concern is, if you're already so good at being behind the ball, and that's what makes you special, right? That your four seam has so much lift because you're so square behind it. And then all of a sudden you're messing with something that's making your hand come through in a non-square fashion, like you're a little bit more supinated than normal. My concern is that arm action, that hand stroke leaks into your fastball, and now you start cutting your fastball a little bit weird, and it doesn't have the same amount of lift on it anymore. So that's my concern a little bit with this pitch, and he threw a shitload of them in the game, and we'll continue to watch them. But I wanted to demonstrate that really quickly of why my overall concern is. You can see on his fastball last year, he averaged 99% active spin, which tells you he's right behind the ball. Like he's directly behind it in a special way. 100 is best you can do. 99's right there. And if you're all of a sudden going to be, I don't know, 92% efficient on your cutter, then I just don't want that to leak into his fastball. If we look on this chart over this season and we see that all of a sudden his four-seam active spin is 95%, 96%, 94%, somewhere in that range, I'm going to freak out and I'm going to be pissed. And you're going to see me that I predicted that on the stream, that could be a possibility. So keep an eye on that. All right, back to Jonah, because I am rooting for him hardcore, but that's my ultimate concern. A little bit. All right, second batter of the game. He is going to get him out on a cutter right on right. Interestingly, he kind of jams himself on it and gets him out there. And then Nolan Gorman, four seam. And already even here, it's one pitch, no reason to freak. But again, like 17.7 inches of induced vertical break. Like for me, that'd be great. For Jonah, that's bad. For Jonah, that's 3 or 4 inches down. Right? So already I'm a little like, what's going on here? Fastball's plenty fast, and he had a 1-2-3 inning, but I'm just saying these are things to think about. What's the solution for Tong then? Unclear yet. And honestly, I wouldn't have been throwing a whole bunch of new pitches on him personally right away. All right, he's going to punch out this dude with a fastball. There's the good one, 21-1. And you can see how that ball played even right down the dingus. And he's still under it because that's just a special fastball. That's what I want him to maintain, what makes him special. And whatever he adds, I don't want it to take away from what makes him special. So anyway, just some thoughts. All right, here's a hit from Burnable on a fastball. 18.2, does a good job of getting through it. What was the Tim Lincecum pitching arsenal? So Tim was a fastball that played really well at the top of the zone. Changeup became his best secondary pitch in the majors. He actually, curveball was his best secondary pitch when I played with him back in the Cape Cod League. And he ended up having like a little bit of a slider pitch that he threw as well with the Giants for a long time. But really the changeup was the devastating thing, the fastball and the changeup. But again, they're not the same. I know everybody wants them to be the same, there's only one freak. All right, base hit there, and then he's going to hit this dude with a changeup, who, when I watched this as well yesterday, he had zero feel for his changeup yesterday. Pulling it, that's a horrible rep, nowhere close, and hits him there. Now he's going to punch out this guy looking on a slider. So here's a gyro slider. To me, this could be more of the move. Why not a gyro slider? Why not mute the vert a little bit and at least create more separation between the fastball? And this is such, when you throw a slider, it's a totally different grip. Like with a slider, you're going to be like in here somewhere, probably like here or on the other side of the horseshoe, like that type of move. And now it's totally different everything feel than your fastball. When you're throwing a cutter, and I mentioned the subtlety there between the four seam and the cutter, things can blend. But with the slider, they're not going to blend. And I don't know if he'll have a great slider, but to me, this would be a decent option if he can, make a pretty good one. And here's a called strike 3. He doesn't get a lot of movement to the left. That's one of the things about his chart that, we'd like to see it get a little better. And that's probably why he gets the called strike there. The guy reads spin. He thinks it's going to break off the plate. It stays on the plate. So you're out. All right, Blaze Jordan. He's going to ground out here on the cutter. And ideally, that's the type of contact you want right on right with your cutter. You want to get it right to the edge, and you want him to hit it off the end of the bat. This was a great cutter. If he can do this and maintain his fastball shape, now we're working. And why do I like it? Because it was -3 vert. It wasn't at 0. It was at -3. If his fastball's at +3 or 4 and his cutter's at -3, that's enough separation, and he will get weird contact off the end of the bat, which is what he gets here on the rollover. So this was a really good pitch. So you get, I don't know why he thought that was going to hit him, but you give credit where credit's due. That was a tremendous pitch. All right, third inning and his final inning. Chase Davis is going to single on a cutter. This one's metric is not bad either. And I couldn't help but notice that this batter completely copied Carlos Gonzalez's swing. It's a carbon copy. It's really funny to watch it. Look at that. The whole thing, the way he's wagging the bat, watch the leg kick. That's cargo. That's a tiny cargo right there. So base hit there to start off the third. Then he walks Weatherholt. This is another... So it's interesting. He never had a bad walk rate, but when I watched him, I didn't think he had great command. And anyway, pops up here with a walk. So first and second. Now Fermin. This is a 94-mile-an-hour cutter, so very good velo on this cutter. Although something tells me this was a fastball. Yeah, this was a fastball. 19 vert. He just happened to cut it. So again, he can maybe potentially blend these two pitches, and I don't like that. And then he gets clipped by Gorman for a home run. So let's watch this whole at-bat. This kind of, this ruined his outing. First pitch, cutter. Backs it up for a ball. Second pitch, this is a fastball. See, now even the machine's getting confused between his cutter and his fastball. This is a fastball. Strike. Here's another fastball. Ball. And now he's 2-1, and he's going to go to that cutter, and this isn't going to work. Big time pop there. Sneaks it out in left center for the 3-run home run. The big mistake here is the location. Obviously, we've been quibbling with the pitch type for a bit, this cutter, but you can't throw it in this spot on 2-1 to a lefty. This might even be a ball below the zone, but Gorman with the scoopy swing. This is not where they want the pitch. They want the pitch up and away. It's kind of middle down, and there's the 3-run home run. And then his last batter is Nelson Velasquez. So this is kind of it, folks. Gets the pop up there. And when he's at his best, these are the types of contacts he'll get. He'll get really weak flyouts because he's going to be above the barrel all day with the fastball. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on Tong. We'll keep an eye on the cutter situation. I'm not really sure how I feel about how that's going to play. I'm about to add these hoodies onto the market, I think tonight or tomorrow. Maybe not tonight. I'm tired now. He didn't throw any curveballs in this game, which was weird. He has a curveball. It's 2 speeds down, and I like it. And he's got that Vulcan changeup, which he didn't have any command on today. But The cutter, I have my doubts, but we're gonna wait and see. But if I were them, I'd be scared to death that he would mess up his fastball. That would be my concern. Not that it's like we saw a good one when he got homeboy off the end of the bat with the ground out. But I'm gonna have to keep watching it. It's all new. For some reason, he didn't really throw any curveballs. So, kind of a weird outing where he was trying some things, and we'll continue to watch Jonah. He's a very interesting pitcher, and we'll see how he breaks out or doesn't break out this year. All right, that is it for me, guys. There's definitely more baseball I could watch, but we covered quite a bit today. Went through all the AL East, and then we had a little fun watching some games. So thanks for hanging with me tonight on Baseball After Dark. I will be back on Monday from Arizona. So I don't know whether I'm doing a morning show yet or a night show yet. I have to figure out my logistics. Probably a morning show. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. Really appreciate you guys for hanging with me, both on my channel and MLB Tonight. I got some exciting news today about some national coverage that I'm going to be taking part of. I'm excited for, very excited for. Things are moving in the right direction, and I will see you guys when I get to Arizona. So thanks so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to join the Discord. Don't forget to keep a lookout for the hoodies and the crew necks, although I will say those won't be delivered, so you have plenty of time before I ship them out, probably when I get back from WBC. So anyway, good night. Have a good night, everybody, and thanks so much for hanging with me tonight, and I'll see you guys later.